Lee Summit has lots of local destinations, but where do you start? Green Street, a vibrant community space in the heart of downtown, is where Lee Summit comes together. Its 3 dynamic areas have something for everyone. Green Street Market is a modern event venue and home to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market. Green Street Lawn is a covered performance space hosting live music, family activities, and more. Green Street Grove is a mixture of gathering spaces, an immersive playground, and bold architectural features. And all 3 areas host community events year-round. So the next time you set out to enjoy the city you love, remember, meet at Green Street.
Hello Lee Summit, I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of July 6th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers and City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at citybells.net. Join us for the last Football Friday celebration this Friday, July 10th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Green Street. This Football Friday celebrates 100 years of Route 66, honoring a century of road trips, retro vibes, and classic Americana as part of the highway's centennial year. For more details, visit lsgoal26.org/football-Fridays. Looking for a sweet way to explore Lee Summit this summer? Families are invited to take part in the Summit Scoops Ice Cream Crawl. Kids can visit all 6 participating local ice cream spots, collect a stamp at each stop, and turn in their completed passport to win a prize. You can find the ice cream locations and download your passport at explorels.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Keeping our city beautiful is a collaborative effort for all citizens. The City of Lee Summit supports these efforts with a set of guidelines or ordinances, and the city's neighborhood services team helps put those guidelines into practice. These guidelines ensure grass stays trimmed, fences are maintained, home exteriors are kept up, and much more. We can all help out by first making sure our property meets these guidelines. If you notice a potential violation on a neighbor's property, first check the guidelines on the city's website. If it is a violation, the next step is to communicate with your neighbor directly. If that is not possible, or if the problem persists, it can be reported through LS Connect. LS Connect is an online platform for submitting issues to the city. You can access it on the city website or by downloading the app through your mobile device's app store. Once you submit an issue, it is reviewed by the Neighborhood Services team. A Neighborhood Services officer will then visit the site. For any violations found, the Neighborhood Services officer will leave a notice and speak with the property owner if possible. The officer's goal is to help the property owner solve or abate the problem as quickly as possible. After a 10-day period, the officer will inspect the site to see if the issue has been abated. Normally, by this point, the issue has been resolved. If not, depending on the type of issue, an extension could be granted, or the city might fix the problem at the owner's expense. In rare cases, if all other measures have been applied, the issue will be resolved in the municipal court. Neighborhood Services officers work hard to resolve problems quickly and positively. They are here to support the community as we work together to keep our city beautiful.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, or no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. These come up too. Perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate crisis situations. Recently, we've brought co-responders onto the scene, licensed qualified mental health professionals housed within our police department, and they respond with those officers directly to those scenes where a crisis is occurring so they can interact with that citizen and get them the help they need right there on that scene.
The co-responders are either a bachelor or master level in a behavioral health related field. They wear plain clothes, they don't carry weapons or anything like that.
I have a police radio that I listen to all day. Listen for, those key words: mental health, behavioral health, crisis.
There's a lot of officers that just call for me. I have my own radio number.
I also have the ability to self-dispatch to them and say 982 is en route.
Officers en route, 914 Armstrong.
So typically I arrive after they've made it safe. I'll make contact and get kind of the rundown, and then I just kind of jump right in.
I'm like, hey, my name's Allison. I'm a mental health professional. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take you to jail or arrest you.
Sometimes all a person needs is a voice, someone neutral, someone outside that, can listen. I do a lot of safety planning, including family, their support network, who's close to you. If they're home alone, who can come over and hang out with you today? Can we lock away your sharps? Can we put up your meds? Do you need meds? Can we get you over to the urgent care to get you assessed for your medications? Some of them also are like, oh, I'm so glad you came. This made me feel so much better.
Our main goal as co-responders is to, one, get people connected to the services that they need, and also divert from emergency rooms and jails.
And they almost get a different view of the police responding. That lets me know you care and the officers care.
Please come up, please. How can we help you?
My husband
In 2020, we had 722 mental health-related calls for service. 2022, by that time, 1,479. These mental health-related calls for service are increasing. How we're responding to that is increasing the number of crisis intervention team officers we have available, as well as the number of co-responders we have available to respond on these calls.
So what I think is important for the community to know about the co-responder program is that we're here, we exist. All you have to do when you call 911 is ask for us. Say, hey, I want a co-responder to respond to this crisis, and we'll go. I was really struggling about 8 years ago on my personal journey with mental health, and I met some amazing social workers and amazing programs that have helped me get to where I am today. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. We want to help, and that's what we love to do.
So I had a client, we got a call, she had some suicidal ideations, and she really felt that she had nobody. And and getting to know her story and getting to know who comes around and sees you, well, then we found a support person and they responded immediately. And we made a plan. I called back and checked on her in an hour, and then I checked on her in 2 hours. We were able to get her into the additional services to where she talks to someone every week or more. I just took a person that really just thought they had nobody and nobody would show up for them, and show them you do. And you'll be amazed who is in your corner if you just simply say, I need a little help.
Lee Summit has lots of local destinations, but where do you start? Green Street, a vibrant community space in the heart of downtown, is where Lee Summit comes together. Its 3 dynamic areas have something for everyone. Green Street Market is a modern event venue and home to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market. Green Street Lawn is a covered performance space hosting live music, family activities, and more. Green Street Grove is a mixture of gathering spaces, an immersive playground, and bold architectural features. And all 3 areas host community events year-round. So the next time you set out to enjoy the city you love, remember, meet at Green Street.
The Planning Commission meeting, July 9th, 2026. Can I get a roll call?
Edward Yerington, Peyton Hatcher,
Here.
Molly Pesh,
Present.
Dana Arth,
Present.
Terry Trafton,
Present.
Chip Tazinski,
Present.
Jessica Gorneau,
Present.
Tanya Jonaford,
Present.
Lee Moore.
Present. Okay. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
Screen's kind of going out here. All in favor of, I don't need to vote on that, do I? All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
We have to do a roll call. I'm stumbling just a little.
Peyton
I have my
Hatcher,
right hand.
Yes.
Molly Pesh,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Jessica Gorneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
Yes. Thank you. Do we have any public comments related or unrelated to anything that's on the agenda tonight that anybody wants to say in general? Not seeing anybody. Okay, we'll move forward. Thank you. We have an item on the consent agenda. Can I get an approval for the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, yes, I'd like to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Can I get a roll call?
Peyton Hatcher,
Yes.
Molly Pesh,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Jessica Gorneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford,
Yes.
Lee Moore.
Yes. Great, thank you. All right, we're going to move to public hearings. So I'll now close the regular meeting and open the public hearing in the matter of application PL 2026-078 preliminary development plan, Blackwell Convenience Store, 2661 Southeast Blue Parkway, KDP Hospitality LLC applicant. Staff, anybody that wants to testify, can we swear people in that wish to speak on this matter? Anybody in the public that wants to speak?
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good evening. My name is Matt Smith. I am the civil engineer representing the applicant for this development. Thank you for taking the time to review our application. I'm going to briefly review the site from an engineering perspective and review grading and drainage, utilities, site access, and then I will hand it off to our architect to review buildings and landscape.
Did he not give his address?
As you can see here, we're on the southeast portion of Lee Summit, more locally in the intersection of Highway 50 and Blackwell Road on the northwest corner, within the roundabouts there on the west side. This overall is a site plan for future development included. Currently, we are only developing the east portion of the site, but I wanted you guys to see full build out. Currently, we are only going to be designing and developing the middle road and the east portion of the site. So let me block these out. And currently we are planning for future commercial and medical. Obviously those could change and those would come back through Planning Commission and City Council, but that is just what we use to design for this portion. There's also a building on the northern end of the east parcel 3 that we are currently developing that is future as well. And as you can see, there is a convenience store / gas station and a restaurant, as well as pumps on the south end. This is the existing conditions of the site. It is mostly wooded area, very dense trees. And if you actually walk into the site, there's quite a bit of existing trash, and it looks like possibly some nefarious activities have been going on in there. So developing this site, I think, would benefit the city and the area. It just creates an area that is hidden inside of there. And then on the east side of the site, there's an existing detention basin that could possibly have a bit of wetland, and we will have U.S. Fish and Wildlife review that when we go through the final process. From a grading and drainage perspective and stormwater, we use the TR55 hydrologic methodology. This methodology utilizes existing conditions and proposed conditions and reviews rainwater, site use, to develop or to design detention basins as to not increase the flows exiting the site in a post-development situation. The blue arrows, as you can see, are, so in general, the site is high on the southwest corner and drains to the northeast. There's actually an existing pipe where you can see those blue arrows in the northeast. The existing pipe actually takes the offsite or flows from this site and takes them north. So everything from our site that will leave will go through that pipe. In the temporary condition, we are going to propose putting temporary swales across the east side of both of these parcels as to not let the flows from the wooded area that we will not be developing now flow into the future development. And as I said, this is the wetland area that is possible wetland that we have actually designed around and we will not be touching at all. In regards to utilities, again, these are future. So in regards to utilities, starting with sewer, we will be taking sewer from the northeast corner of the site and running it south across Shenandoah. It will then come west and then run south down our main meandering road, and it will end just north of that southwest future parcel. And then each parcel will tie in off of that. In regards to water, we will be pulling from the northeast, and then we will also be pulling future lines for the other two parcels that will come from different locations. So for this site specifically, in that northeast corner, you can see the water crossing the road, and then it comes south to the commercial building that is actually future. And then there's also a water line, a main water line that will run along the west side of Blackwell that will loop water from the north end in an existing line. And there's also an existing line on the south end of the site, and it will loop water throughout the development. In regards to fire safety, there are multiple fire hydrants, which you can see the two blue dots in the center of the site. Those will serve the site from a fire and safety perspective. And then we also have some turning radius on the north and the south showing that fire trucks can access, and we've taken that into account. And thank you for taking the time to review the site with us. And I'm going to let Vincent come up here and talk about architecture.
Hello, Planning Commission. My name is Vincent Foster. I work for Architectural Engineering Consortium. We have an office out of Independence. My office is out of Jeff City, 713 Caitlin Drive. In designing this building, we looked to the surrounding area for some context, including the materials used and where the materials are used. For instance, the stone veneer wainscot around the buildings, nearby churches, and also, the large storefronts of glass that exist at the library that's very near this location also. As well as the flat roof indicated here that presents us a very thin profile. You can see that we tried to mimic that kind of closely here. The owner wanted to go for a very modern look, so there's a lot of straight lines and flat roof. The mechanical equipment will be located on top of the building, so as to be concealed from view from below and the street. The building will consist of 6,000 square feet of the actual gas station or convenience store, utilization, and then the other 2,000 square foot will be rentable by an infill by another business that is to be determined, of course. Likely a restaurant, and the parking that Matt laid out on the site is conducive to having a restaurant there. So I think that's the maximum capacity that we would have in that location. Let's see. This is just showing the different elements that we drew from the surrounding area again to draw into the design here. Option 2, it was discussed at some point that the slope roofs might not be as most attractive or fit in as closely with the context in the area, so we looked at a more flat roof type of scenario, and this is just a rendition of that we have run by the owner that we could also do that is an option as well. Landscaping, I think it's pretty straightforward. Around the perimeter, we have the standard shrubbery I'm sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit. Landscaping is not my forte. Our landscape engineer couldn't be here. What's the word I'm looking for, Matt? The shrubbery around the edge of the site for screening. That's the word, screening. Oh no, why couldn't I come up with that word? Yeah, to meet the local standards that you guys have in place for screening, our landscape engineer worked to develop this with the appropriate shade trees and deciduous type trees that are, again, meet the local building zoning standards. Continuing up here, the site, the perimeter has large trees, and then there's the islands are spotted with shrubberies as well to help facilitate the feel of as much green as we can get on the site with what we're doing. Building wise, site lighting I think is also pretty straightforward. It's pretty even across the site. There's going to be some building lighting that will come from the buildings that are there. You'll note that Matt mentioned that there's a commercial building up in the top of this property, but it has not yet been designed. So, and that's for future development as well, right? Yes, that's correct, yeah. So, let me see if that's anything else here. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening.
All right. Mr. Soto, I think, is coming up to give the staff presentation.
Good evening, Hector Soto Jr., Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 19.
Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 19 are entered into the record.
So the application that is before us today is for a approximately 8,000 square foot convenience store, combination convenience store and drive-through restaurant, as the applicant had stated. The general location of the site is the northwest quadrant of US 50 and Blackwell Road interchange. So the images on the left show zoning for the immediate area, and then kind of to give a little more context to what the corridor looks like, particularly between the area bounded by Blackwell Road on the east and Todd George on the right. I've got kind of a little bit more of an eagle eye view of what the zoning characteristics are of that portion of the corridor. So as you can see here on the upper image here, highlighted in cobalt, the cardinal indicates commercial zoning. That is what is currently anchoring the northwest and the northeast corners of the Blackwell US 50 highway interchange. As you move north beyond Shenandoah, you start getting to more of actually predominantly all single-family residential, particularly on the west side of Blackwell Road. Off the screen to the east, there's in process of construction is a mixed housing type residential development, apartments, well, extending from more of a villa style up to apartments with some commercial there along the north side of Blue Parkway on the east side of Blackwell Road. As you move yourself to the west off the screen, you start transitioning into a number of non-residential uses that front US 50 highway. Most closely here, you see there are some church development that eventually transitions to some public and semi-public uses in the form of a library, hospital, some medical offices eventually. And as you make your way toward Todd George Parkway, you start getting a little bit more commercial uses there on that far end. So the images on the right just show the cleaned up version, so you can see what the existing development looks like in that vicinity. So the project itself, just to provide a little bit of clarity, the overall parent property is about between 10 and 11 acres. The focus of the application before us, and this is for everyone's edification, just to make sure exactly what the ask is. So right now, the intent of the applicant is to receive entitlement to develop the C-store / restaurant, the pumps. Everything else that's shown on the plan is conceptual only. So no action that you take tonight will, in whatever your recommendation may be to City Council, none of that is to go forward with any recommendation for approval of these several 5,000 square foot buildings that constitute about 35,000 square feet in total. So while this 5,000 square foot building is located on the same lot as the C-store gas station, entitlement is not being sought for that one right now. So the applicant is only looking to move forward with the development of the C-store gas station drive-through restaurant component. Approval of anything beyond that in the future will require going through a public hearing process, similar to exactly like this one. Legal notices will be published in the newspaper. Letters will be sent out to all property owners within 300 feet of the site. Signs will be posted. Again, that's for future development of this. At this point, the applicant is not doing anything with this other than showing it for graphical representation of how the property could develop, and that the manner in which they're looking to develop this piece is not going to negatively impact the ability to actually develop the remaining portions of the property. So attached to this application, you can see here there's mentioned that there is one modification request that is being sought on the architectural side of the application, which I'll speak to a little bit later. So here a little bit more of the detail regarding the development itself. I bolded the areas that are actually the focus or the subject of what the entitlement or public hearing portion of this is tonight. So lot 3, which is on the far east side of the lot, so essentially the eastern half of the property, is what houses that approximately 8,000 square foot building. The pump island canopy shows 10 pumps, double-sided, so in total you're looking at 20 stations as depicted here on the plan. So associated with this development, to provide access into it, construction will include this, what we'll call a J road, that'll extend the eastern leg of the Shenandoah Southeast Blue Parkway roundabout here on the northwest corner of the site. It'll extend that J road through, circling east and then north, and providing a second connection to Blackwell Road between the two roundabouts, the Blackwell and that Shenandoah roundabout. The access point down here, of course, will be full access. The access point on the north side of the development will be right in, right out. There's an existing median that extends from roundabout to roundabout. So there's just a single lane of traffic that travels on either side of that roundabout. So this here just kind of, again, just touches again on the road improvements associated with this development, construction of the J Road, and the right in, right out of the north end of the site. So just to take a little bit of an inventory on this development and how it ties into the existing street network and sidewalk connectivity network that's already existing in the area. The area here, the lines that are in aqua, they end here at the screen, but they extend along Shenandoah. That area here that's in the aqua color extending along Shenandoah, which technically the portion between the two roundabouts is Blue Parkway again. So Shenandoah technically ends here. Blue Parkway picks back up as it extends from the west through the roundabout. So everything here in aqua indicates that there's, as part of the city's existing bicycle plan, that is a designated bike route, not to be confused with a bike lane, which is a painted, striped, pavement marking. So by being a bike route, what it indicates that there's essentially through this area, there's extra wide curbed lane to provide ample room for vehicles and bicyclists to coexist on that portion of the road. That bike route extends from Shenandoah east from Todd George all the way to this point and extends through Blackwell and north. The areas here that are in magenta highlight the existing sidewalk network through the area. As you can see, it's completely built out, really. Around the roundabouts, both sides of the road, through Blackwell, providing connectivity to the south side of 50 Highway and then extending north along Blackwell Road. The portion here that is in kind of the apple green is indicative of a private sidewalk that will be developed or constructed as part of the J Road to provide connectivity from internal to the site out to the existing public street network and the sidewalk out there. Just some other features here. Here on this west side of the building, the orange lines just indicate the queue line for the drive-through facility, and the blue dashed lines here indicate just where the accessible parking spaces are and the routes that'll get you into the individual building entrances, of which there'll be 2 on the north side of the building and 1 on the south side of the building. The clouded areas just indicate where you do have that interface between pedestrian connections and vehicular traffic in and out of the area. So as the applicant and the architect mentioned, that there are 2 options from a design perspective that are provided for consideration. The preferred option is the one that was presented first by the applicant, which has the flat shed roof kind of mirrored on both sides of the building. The material palette for this building is going to be composed of kind of a Nichiha or similar fiber cement panel. It'll have a stone wainscot, metal roof. So you'll also have the flat roof element here with this parapet that'll provide the necessary screening for all rooftop units. But again, so this building is going to be double faced, we'll say. So what you see here on this slide or this rendering is going to be identical to what you see on the opposite side. So the north and south sides will present as a face and will be identical. The only difference, at least on the preliminary drawings provided so far, is that whereas one side will have, the north side will have 2 entrances into the building, the south side will have just the lone entrance. Again, the image here on the south or on the bottom portion of the slide here, again mirrored, so similar. The only difference is that the west facade will have a drive-through window. But again, they'll use substantial use of stone wainscot. You have the sloped roof edge, variable planes that will be visible from all directions on the building to provide some architectural interest and break up some of the wall heights. The images here are representative of existing area development. I mean, the 6 images on top are of existing non-residential architecture that you see in the area. Hospital, a bank. This bank is at the northeast corner of Todd George and Shenandoah. It's between Shenandoah and Blue Parkway. Northeast corner of Shenandoah, of Blue Parkway and Blackwell. So that particular building does pull a lot of the residential influences with the use of the dormers, the sloped roof, kind of the gabled canopy and some columns. As you make your way east from that point, you've got a lot of what you would say kind of more traditional commercial development, a lot of flat roof development, some modern development or some modern architecture, particularly as the applicant stated with the newest building, one of the newer buildings out there being the library, which uses a substantial amount of glass facing 50 Highway. The top left corner here is also, this would be the newest building. This is a medical office building that sits on the same property as the hospital, but separated by the creek or natural drainage way. Again, substantial use of glass on some of the front and kind of a multi-planar flat roof elements that you see used on the building. This is a portion of the hospital, a lot of the office use on the far west wing. This is the image on the top right is the church developed closest to this subject property. We got a lot of varying roof lines, shed roof, or rather pitched gabled roof ends. The image at the far south is representative of the view of basically the typical view from the subject property north toward the residential development on the north side of Shenandoah. So right now what you see along Shenandoah is kind of a bit of a berm or a sloped green area, a substantial amount of landscaping. Most, if not all, of the properties that back up to Shenandoah have fence, to my recollection. There may be a couple properties that don't, but my recollection was that just about every property there that backed up to Shenandoah had a fence. You already have varying levels of landscaping maturity. You've got some newer street trees, coupled with significant larger shade, mature shade, and evergreen trees that are also located some on the common area green space that is maintained by the Ashton Charleston Park HOA, and a lot of trees along the rear backyards or in that green space there for the residential property. The alternate option that's presented, again, this one as an option, has more of a stepped, much more of a flat roof as opposed to the tilted or pitched flat or shed roof. This one just has various levels of flat roof elements used throughout, but again, mirrored. You'll see that on the front, one end has it's kind of a stair-stepped roof line on the two bookends of the building. The material palette would be the same for either option. The applicant had indicated, though, that the preferred option would be the sloped shed roof type of bookend elements rather than this one, but that they are amenable to either option. So there is one modification that is being requested by the applicant, and that is related to the minimum 50% clear glass fenestration requirement on all street-facing building facades. So with this building being, essentially, it's a corner lot, really. If you look at the parent property, it's actually surrounded by right-of-way on all four sides, but here for this building that we're looking at in particular, it very much sits on the corner of the overall site. So the side that's being asked for modification is this east elevation, which faces out toward Blackwell Road. The separation between Blackwell Road and the building is about 140 feet. Between that right-of-way and the building sits the area that will serve some stormwater purposes, but is also an area that's being investigated as a wetland as well. There will be a substantial amount of vegetation that will be planted to meet the UDO requirements for minimum street landscaping on the east side of the building, in addition to the existing vegetation that exists to this kind of lowland area. It should be noted that through this area, the Blackwell Road sits about 13 feet or so, 12 it varies a little bit, but it's about 12 feet on average, I would say, sits below grade of the finished elevation of this building site. So staff is supportive of that modification on that east side. So when staff is evaluating the application, of course, one of the things that we'd look to for guidance is the comprehensive plan and how the proposed development relates to that comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan shows the bulk of the property, the bulk of the highway frontage from Todd George on the west to Blackwell Road as being commercial of some sort. There is some office that's being shown for the portion that houses a hospital and some future medical. The middle portion does show residential 3 land use, which was put into place to reflect the existing senior living facilities that are located along that portion of the property. It does also cover the library property. But in general, the area in and around the Blackwell interchange is identified in the comprehensive plan as commercial in nature, or the recommended future land use as being commercial in nature. So comparing the comp plan versus existing zoning, the zoning is shown on the bottom of the screen. So you can see that there are very much parallels, if not almost identical, that the comprehensive plan reflects what the zoning and vice versa. On the south side of the highway, where you do see a lot of existing agricultural development, that one thing to consider through there is that under the UDO, agricultural zoning is also used as a holding zone until such time as development can occur on it. The ability to develop the property in this area that's currently shown agriculture was limited by just a lack of sewer, the lack of sewer into the area. So the development for that is very much on the horizon. So with that, the north side of the highway, again, the zoning of commercial that extends pretty much from Todd George all the way to Blackwell, with one area with just one church property that's zoned as residential mixed use. But again, the comp plan and the zoning are very much in tune with one another in terms of showing that the future highest and best use of the property through this highway corridor is commercial, and the existing development, the existing zoning through the area is reflective of that. All applications require that the applicants hold a neighborhood meeting, and one was held back in April. Some of the topics of discussion from the neighbors of concern that they expressed were just concerned with just the C-store land use as a whole, and then some associated, perhaps what some might term more nuisance concerns related to noise, traffic, and just impact on overall property taxes and home values. To date, the city has received one protest petition on this site. With the protest petition, this is also, again, for everyone's edification, for some of our newer members and for the members of the public, when the protest petition is submitted to the city, what is hoped by the petitioner is to be able to reach a threshold by which approval of an application requires a minimum 6 votes in the affirmative at the city council level. So protest petitions don't have any bearing or affect any of the processes or procedures at tonight's meeting. Any triggering of a protest petition would have an impact, though, on what the minimum vote count is required at the city council level, which on this current schedule would be held about 3 or 4 weeks from now. So right now the area in red highlights the protest petitioner to date, which was submitted, and that's representative of the HOA. So right now the HOA only owns, closest to this site owns the property here. That it's a common area band, a portion of which lies within 185 feet of the site. The other properties, there were 5 other emails that were received by the city, not protest petitions, but so far just written correspondence via email to date from 5 area residents, and those are highlighted here in yellow throughout. So staff's recommendation currently contains 4 conditions of approval. First one being the modification request, second being compliance with development plan. Number 4 relates to, which is not uncommon, which be that development be subject to the recommended road improvements included in staff's transportation impact analysis, which, just as a summary, the recommended road improvements are those that staff previously went over, which are just the construction of the J Road and the right in, right out. Beyond that, no additional improvements to the existing area road infrastructure are being recommended based on the traffic impact study. So with that, I will yield to any questions that you have. Oh, actually, one thing I will point out. So right now, condition number 2, as it relates to the architecture, is that it's currently written depicting the shed roof design. So should this body choose that they prefer the alternate option, which has more of the flat roof design, keep in mind that that would be a condition that would have to be modified should you choose to do so. So with that, I will yield to any questions you may have.
Are there questions for staff or the applicant from commissioners? Commissioner Janaford.
Thank you. Mr. Soto, I'm hoping this question helps direct the Planning Commission in how we ascertain information about this application. The precedence of having 2 options to comment on, how do we proceed? Is it best to have the ownership as traditional decide on which one they want to go forth, and then that's what we focus on? I feel hesitant creating rabbit hole conditions of some having particularness to one side and another and not being able to really look at it holistically.
I mean, I'll let the applicants speak for themselves. What they've expressed to this point is that their preference is for condition or option 1, the shed roof one. So what I would suggest is that would be the option that you focus on, and then, for lack of a better term, the flat roof option is kind of more the back pocket, so that if this body finds that that is just not an option in your eyes as being perhaps best representative of good architecture for that particular area, then they have a fallback option. But the preference is the first shed option.
So for the record, we should just ask questions for option 1.
I would focus on that one. To your point, instead of diluting or perhaps confusing some of the conversation, I'd focus on this option before you.
Thank you. Chair, do you want to do public hearings, or do you want the commission to remain asking questions?
No, we'll continue to ask questions.
Okay. May I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So I would love to talk to the architect, please, to get a better understanding for option 1, which we're seeing on the screen. I believe that's the east side where it's the red with the roof slanting towards the entrance. What does that overhang look like? I'm thinking rain pouring down, people want to go into the building. Are they going to get a rainfall of water? How's the drainage looking right there?
So the overhangs extend at a minimum 5 feet past the wall faces.
Okay.
So they should be, clear of most of the weather, at least in the direct vicinity of the entrances, and then also to the sides of the entrances if there's lines backed up.
Okay. And that's the same for what would be the restaurant or food
Yeah,
drive-through?
correct. It's mirrored. Yep.
Okay. Now the next question, what is the finish of that roof? It says metal roof. Is it metal seam? What's the finish, color, all that?
Yeah, imagine metal panel, and the color, it's shown as black just as contrast for the other colors we have here. Black never shows up like it's showing up on the rendering. It's always it's like a gray or lighter color. So it's actually going to end up being like a lighter color to match more of the color of the rest of the building itself.
Okay.
Yep.
And then is that an intermediate roof in between the two angled areas, or is that a mechanical curb?
There will be mechanical curbs around the roof, around the mechanical equipment on the roof, on the flat roof area.
Okay. And what is that material? Nichiha?
The colored areas are Nichiha, and then the stucco would be like the gray color that's there.
Is there opportunity to revisit the color palette to align better with the surrounding area?
Yeah, the owner is amenable to that for sure.
Are there suggestions that's been already discussed?
We haven't discussed any.
Okay.
I think looking at the precedent photos, a more maybe a less extreme color palette would be useful or fit into the context better. Thinking like grays, browns, beige, things like that. The owner is looking to push the modern look a little bit, just to stand out from other buildings of this type. But to respect the context of the area is more important than that. So if we have to have some concession on the color, I think they would be amenable.
Okay, so it's safe to say that this is not the final color palette, it's purely diagrammatic to get an idea of the different finishes being applied?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the convenience store roof that's angling down towards the entry again.
Mm-hmm.
So the restaurant has a placeholder for signage.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the signage going to go for the convenience store?
Yeah, it's mirrored just like this one, except it's just not shown because we're only showing one side and what's in front of you there. But the convenience store would have signage as well above it.
So it would be standing on top of the metal roof instead of on the facade?
No, it'll be on the facade, just as you see here for the restaurant.
Uh-huh.
The south-facing facade of the C-store will have signage there as well.
Okay, so the north side won't have a signage for the convenience store?
No.
Okay.
The intent is for most of the traffic for the convenience store to come from the pumps themselves. There's parking on the south side of the building for that. There's but there is some parking that was dedicated and what's required for the minimum parking standards on the north side, in case people want to use the convenience store just as a convenience store, not for just a gas station.
Do you mind flipping to the site plan or just the plan layout? Yeah, this one's perfect.
Okay.
So if I understand, all the parking on the north side is not necessary for the anticipated entry point of the convenience store. You're saying that they're going to be coming from the south.
Yes, mostly, I would assume, yeah.
So now let's talk about the restaurant. Is the anticipation, what's the percentage of drive-through versus dine-in? What's the capacity of that? What I'm getting to is getting an understanding for what seemed to be over-parking.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of parking, and that's because we designed it for the maximum capacity that may go into the restaurant space, which is a restaurant. And at 2,000 square feet, that's 14 parking spaces per, I forget the exact number, but it's a lot of parking. If it turns out that they have something there that's not a restaurant, then that parking would be more than is required, but we can't really design to that because we don't know what's going into that place yet.
Okay, that helps me understand.
Yeah.
In terms of the drive-through, is there any pedestrian protection, bollards, canopies, anything like that as cars are driving through the main thoroughfare?
Yeah, so at the corners of let me kind of go here, oops. The corners of the buildings, there's some columns I'm showing stretching from the top at the corners of the building to help secure that as well. That's a good point you bring up. We hadn't really thought through that exactly, but this will help direct people away from that some and provide some protection there as a visual reference for people driving by.
Okay.
Yep.
Now let's go back to the site plan,
Sure.
please. So circulation-wise, we kind of addressed probably a need for bollards or some kind of protection, not only for the building, but just for the drive-through teller. So as cars, let's say, go east in front of the canopy, south of the convenience store, what's the anticipated need for that alleyway on the east side?
Yeah, we looked at drive-throughs on both sides, and we ended up not going that direction, but having that extra lane over there for instance, truck unloading or things like that, and to help facilitate movement around the site whenever the lane is backed up, having that extra alley provides a lot of circulation for when things like that happen.
Okay.
Yep.
So if the east is no longer being used for a drive-through, one of the modifications was to reduce the minimum required of glazing from 50 to 0.
Mhm.
If that's no longer a drive-through, is there consideration to what's the word I'm looking for? Comply with the minimum requirement?
Yeah, I would say no, and the reason being, there's just no wall space in the building that way, and we have large refrigerator units that have to go somewhere, and, you know, by the time you have bathrooms and storage and things along the face between the restaurant and the C-store itself, you'll be putting refrigerators in front of glass walls, and that doesn't make sense, so.
I understand. So,
Yeah.
keeping on that topic, sorry, we're going to go back and forth here.
That's okay.
I don't want to give anyone whiplash. So let's go to the elevation page.
Sure.
I want to focus on the east. So as you've got stone block kind of creating a ground plane, and then you got Nietzsche Hall panels above. Refrigerators aren't very tall. They're door height at minimum, right? So is there potential to introduce glazing within the Nietzsche Hall panel?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, the reason I'm asking, if this development were to go forward, there's going to be further development on the other side of Blackwell. You know, I imagine driving through and just having solid faces of buildings as you drive through. It's not very opening or enjoyable. So trying to maintain the level of architecture on all sides as every vehicular circulation goes by.
I see. I definitely agree with you on that. Would you consider like a more undulations in the facade or something like that to give it more interest also?
Am I allowed to answer my personal thoughts?
I mean, yes, they're your thoughts as a commissioner. So if that's option is something that appeals to you as a commissioner, absolutely.
I would say as a personal commissioner, yes, that would create a little bit more of a dynamic experience, especially since it's all paved on the east side, having something that's more enjoyable for those driving by even. And my last point, then you'll be done with me for a bit. The trash enclosure.
Okay.
Let's go back to the site plan, please.
Yep.
I see it's on the south side of the convenience canopy fuel thing. What's the elevation drop from that south property line down to the road?
Yeah, you're going to have to talk to Matt on that one. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you repeat that question?
Oh, I just want to know what the elevation drop or what that slope looks like. I'm just concerned what that looks like as you're driving on 50, turning into Blackwell, and then immediately to your left, you can see the back of a trash enclosure.
Oh, okay, so you're saying okay, so I would say if you're on Blackwell or the 50, you've got to be at least maybe 8 to 10 feet higher at the gas station, I would say.
Commissioner, the elevation of 50 is about 1024. At that point in the property line on the site, it's about 1014. So there's about a 10-foot drop from 50, or 10-foot elevation difference, 50 to the site. The ramp or the exit area there is about even.
And so that's existing grade. So when we actually grade the site, it will have, it'll still follow that same slope, but that portion of the site will level out a bit and cut on the west and raise on the east. So it'll be about even in the middle, a little higher on the east, a little lower on the west. So it's in general somewhere between 8 and 12 feet on that portion.
So from what you're saying and what's existing, as you're driving on 50 onto Blackwell, you are going to be on level with the trash enclosure?
No, you're going to be 10 feet lower on 50.
10 feet lower?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you looked over, you would need another 4 to 6 feet to be even with the bottom of the trash enclosure. Because if you were driving down it right now, all you see is really the sloped hillside with a bunch of grass right now. And then the trees on top. You really can't see the flat top of the parcel. You see a slope.
Okay, that helps. That is all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Moore, I don't want to leave you out down there. All right, Commissioner Grinnell.
Mr. Soto, where did he go? Did he walk out? Oh, I was like, did he walk out? He's like, she is going to talk and I am running away. So it's my understanding that this particular area that we're talking about is a part of a gateway corridor. To help provide some context and understanding with the vision, not necessarily the hard and fast rules, but guidelines and vision of the comprehensive plan for areas like this. Can you walk us through some of the mobility and connectivity design principles and the strip mall design principles that are included in the comp plan?
Sure. So some of them, some of those principles include connection to the existing sidewalks. It's existing sidewalk network. So here again, the J Road provides that internal connection from Blue Parkway on the far west in that roundabout, that existing built-out network on the west side and extending all the way through the site into and back onto Blackwell Road. So it does provide connectivity from the neighborhoods. I mean, primarily the development to the west is going to be on the south side of Shenandoah is Church, and then as you get further south, further west, it's non-residential development. This road across the street from the median provides access to the single-family residential. You know, again, you've got internal sidewalk network that allows individuals to be able to come to the roundabout, cross, and provide access in and out of the sidewalk, in and out of the area along the existing and future sidewalk. So a lot of it has to do with more just connectivity to the existing road network, which, as you show here, it's fully built out on the east side of Blackwell Parkway, Blackwell Road. There's already a 10-foot wide shared use path that accommodates bicyclists as well as, I mean, there are different levels of bicyclists. Of course, you've got, like I mentioned, the Aqua Road, which would accommodate cyclists that feel very comfortable traveling in traffic. But then you also have the shared use path that's wide enough to accommodate walkers, runners, and also those cyclists that don't feel comfortable riding along with traffic. So it does provide connectivity to that existing network on both fronts. I'm trying to think, I mean, through here, I mean, some of the strip mall design principles there, as you pointed out from the comprehensive plan, some of those are you know, context dependent. Some of those also prefer to locate the parking lots on the backside of properties as well, which help facilitate a little bit more of a comfort level by minimizing the separation between commercial development and pedestrians to kind of better define some of that streetscape and that street line. So through here, I mean, just as it relates to this particular building that they're looking to develop now, I mean, yes, I mean, pedestrians and cyclists into the site will be traveling along and adjacent to those parking areas, but that private parking, that sidewalk will provide that area of refuge and travel that is separated from the J Road traffic and the internal parking lot traffic. So you do have that protection for pedestrians as they enter in and out of the site. Now, looking at the site is holistically, the alignment of the buildings is such along the perimeter of the building where you are, once fully built out, the intent is to shield the visibility of the parking by putting it inside, basically in the core of the site, and kind of, again, kind of better establishing some of that streetscape or that street wall with the development of commercial buildings there to align it and make it a little bit more of a comfortable environment that's a little bit more human or pedestrian scale. I mean, those would probably be the biggest ones as it relates to connectivity in terms of principles that are called out in the comprehensive plan. But if I'm forgetting anything, please remind me of those.
Talk a little bit about gateway corridors and master planning, and if that's a requirement within those, or not a, sorry, requirement is not the right word. A vision, suggestion when it comes to this type of development.
So there you would rely on two things. So the comp plan, again, shows recommended land use, future recommended land uses kind of at the larger scale, which would be, let me get to that image, which would be here, where it talks about just what the recommended land uses are, kind of as we'll look at it as like a bubble drawing scale, where it's painting with a broad brush the uses that are determined to be based on information at that time when the comprehensive plans are put together, based on existing and anticipated future development patterns, what the highest and best use of those properties would be, which would also be tied to what the existing infrastructure network is to there. Being located at a highway interchange is an area where, if I were to pull back even larger, you would see that highway interchanges just naturally orient themselves to being auto-centric, service-oriented, kind of convenient in and out, with more of the interior spaces between those interchanges being more of your office or grocery store type of uses. So just from a land use perspective, those are the things that we're looking at. From a design perspective, some of when you mention master planning, that is part of the reason why, if not the biggest reason as to why we require these conceptual drawings to be shown beyond what they're looking for in the immediate, like in the short term. So we are looking to see how that property, the remaining portion, the 11 acres, can lay out. Some of the things that do constrict, when we compare this to other areas along the highway, which an extreme example would be, the former Odessa property where Oldham Village is. There's a contrast between the conditions here where, particularly along the older parts of US 50 highway, you have more linear, shallower parcels that do somewhat limit the ability to provide the same type of development that a larger area such as like the Oldham Village portion can lend toward having more of a mixed use town center types of development that a little bit that you might often see more as like at least in Lee Summit you would see as being kind of a satellite of kind of or reflective of what downtown is, but because we're trying to provide some connectivity between the downtown area and some of that development there on the south. We've got sidewalk shared use paths that provide some connectivity, which hopefully that will be able to draw folks in a comfortable manner from the downtown across the highway to that newer development on the south side. But here, just again, to speak to what you mentioned regarding master planning, the concept plan, we believe, as shown here, does reflect good planning that's reflective of what types of uses would be suitable at this location, given the proximity to a highway interchange and the significant amount of right-of-way that surrounds it. So I don't know if I fully answered your question. But.
You gave us a lot of information. That was great. So when we look at an activity center or a corridor like this, at a macro level, a very large level, would we look at the entire corridor potentially as we are reviewing applications? I know that this is for this parcel in this particular area, but at a macro level for an area that's been identified as a gateway corridor, as an activity center, would we look at it at a bigger level and look at that entire area as a whole?
I mean, you're certainly doing both things, right? We're looking at, we have to look at the sites at a micro level for just individual compliance with, code requirements. But at the macro level, yes, because these properties don't exist in a vacuum. So the idea is for us to create complementary neighborhoods, developments that do supplement each other through the provision of services to provide those for adjacent residents as well as travelers. So yeah, you're doing both, because ultimately this is, while we are looking at just 11 acres here, it doesn't exist on its own. It is part of this larger area. So yeah, you would be doing both. You are doing both.
And just for context, because we don't have anything clearly defined for this particular area yet in the comp plan.
Right.
Where would that starting and end point be for the gateway corridor? Would that, where would be the northernmost region, the southernmost region, the easternmost region, and the westernmost region?
So this area, fortunately, you do have Shenandoah Road that functions as kind of a reverse frontage road. So you've got Blue Parkway right along the highway, and then you've got Shenandoah that just for this mile stretch, we'll say between Todd George and Blackwell, provides a physical barrier that provides a clearly demarcated transition between residential to the north and everything to the south. I mean, if you were to look a little bit, it doesn't paint the most descriptive picture here, but if you were to contrast what you see more west of Todd George, you've got commercial development that directly abuts residential. So you have, in some cases, no more than 20 feet of separation, with maybe some trees that, from the Price Chopper shopping center to someone's backyard. I mean, here you've got 11 acres that are bounded on four sides by right-of-way. You've got an arterial street that bounds it on the east, a collector street that provides a clear demarcation between what would be essentially first-tier highway commercial property and the residential uses that you go as you get further away from the property.
So as it pertains to this application, it would be fair for us to take a look at all of that area that we've just described, the Shenandoah area that's going over and from, what would that be, west to east, as well as, north of the circle drives and then south. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that would be fair.
For a comp plan?
I would say that would be fair.
Great. And then are there any other similar developments to this in the area? In Lee Summit?
In what respect? Like specific to?
To fuel, to C-stores and the fuel stations?
Yes, let's see. I'll have to, let me pull up my other map. The closest, some of the areas in the immediate area, the closest ones to this particular property that I would point to would be about 2 miles away, Langsford and Todd George, just in the immediate area. You would have So,
you know what? I goofed up. I met with highway gateway areas within the city.
Oh, with highway gateway areas?
So sorry.
Certainly along the highway corridor. And just to make sure we're on the same page, by gateways, are we talking about just like the front door from the four cardinal directions on highways?
Yeah, and that have some interaction with the residents. So a very similar type development that we're talking about today. Does something similar exist somewhere else in the city?
At the very highway entrances, which I would say would be like the defined gateways into the city corporate limits, no. There would not be. I mean, at the northernmost extreme, the first gas station or C-store that you come to would be off of Bolin Road, which is adjacent to commercial development. Now, I suppose you could say that's a little bit of, Monticello, you access through here, but in terms of just being in that close a proximity, this would be the only example. Yeah.
think that's all of my questions.
Woods Chapel has R1 right behind the gas station in Q2.
It has
yeah.
RP3. And sorry if I was mistaken. If you were looking at the very like hard corners, like where you enter the city limits, this would be the first one.
Out, right?
Yeah, but yeah, certainly Woods Chapel Road has the quick trip that sits directly behind townhome development through here. So we went through a public hearing process when this particular location was redeveloped. There were no special conditions of approval as it relates to noise abatement or lighting or additional landscaping. Everything there was done in compliance with the ordinance. The newest quick trip at Mulberry would be perhaps another one. What you would say is that not a gateway into the city, but a gateway into residential coming off the highway. It backs up to a school. Here, there were no additional screening requirements. There was some landscaping here along the west side of the road. These lots here, I mean, Quick Trip still owns them, but I don't know that they'll ever develop anything individually on them. So this is all commercial here, which is why you don't see any landscaping.
Also at 7 Highway in the 50, on the southwest corner, there's a gas station.
7 Highway would be outside of our city limits. Yeah. Certainly you have the Hy-Vee gas stations directly abut, again, but not
in the gateway
if you're talking about the
corridor.
gateway entrances into the corporate limits, this would be the only one right at the front door, we'll say. Yeah.
Perfect. I think that's all my questions for you. Thank you so much. I do have a question for the applicant. Hi. So I know that we are here to look at, would you pull up the site plan? Okay. Or your future land use map?
I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry, I was talking to Mr. DeSoto. Perfect. Oh, yep. Nope.
Yep.
The other one. I like the other one. It's a little bit perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Mhm.
Can you say your name for the record, please?
Preeti Bhakta.
Okay, so I know that we're here to look at the 11-acre parcel for the application. And I'm going to articulate my question very carefully. So for clarification, do you own the property that's immediately on the other side of Blackwell?
No.
That's not owned by you?
No.
Or you don't have any affiliation with it?
No.
Okay.
The Hayes Foundation from Hayes, Kansas, the one who owns both the lot, we took only one west side of that. The other half is not sold by them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what, they still owns that, but we have not purchased those land on the other side of the Blackwell.
So the parcel that is right up against Blackwell on the west side, you don't have anything, no ownership, or it's not, no commonality entity ownership there? For clarity?
The west of Blackwell, yes. I'm sorry, what was the question? West of Blackwell, right?
Yes, the west of Blackwell,
Yeah, that's the
but
one.
not the east side.
Not the east side.
Okay, perfect. That was my question there. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So much. Okay, real quick for the architect. Will you, Mr. DeSoto, will you pull up the pedestrian beautiful colors of aqua, magenta, apple green, orange that you entered? No, he did. I literally wrote down his name so that I could use the same names that he mentioned. Perfect. Thank you. Can you walk us through maybe some thoughts around how you vision how pedestrians would travel from location to location, from building to building, from within the parcel?
Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they're not designed yet.
Okay, so no thoughts around that, no,
Yeah.
okay,
The main road that we looked at many different layouts on the site.
okay,
In order to have both connectivity to the roads around the site and within the site itself. And this was the most efficient and still allowed access to all the site's sort of the satellite sites that are here, giving them as much flexibility within them for future development as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
but no thought currently around how you could potentially go from the C-store to the future commercial building that would be north, or how the commercial building over to the west or back down to the south?
Yeah, that hasn't really been hashed out.
Okay.
Yep.
And then for quick clarification, with the drive-through, which is going to be in orange, lined orange, so vehicles would come in, or it's been designed, or the thought process is that they would come in through the north entrance right there.
Yeah.
And then they would make their right to go into the drive-through, and they would order there? Or is that pickup? Like, what was the, what I'm trying to understand is, I think that,
Sorry.
we removed the pickup window on the other side, on the east side, right? Is that what I understand?
Yes, correct.
Okay. How do we envision the vehicles exiting after is there not a drive-through window at all? No pickup at all?
On the west side?
Yes.
On the west side there is, so sorry, the east side, oh, sorry. On the east side, there's no pickup window anymore. We removed it from the design. So the vehicles that are accessing the building on the west side will just continue around and then exit at the bottom of the J, or the corner of the J that we have there.
Okay, so they would go essentially down and then to the west versus down and to the right, or to
Yes,
the
correct, yeah.
east?
To the west, yeah.
Or to the,
And I just wanted to point out also
Please.
that there is a speaker box. You had mentioned at the window. So there is a speaker box,
Okay.
like 4 spaces up, that they actually order at.
Yep.
Then they pull up to the window and take whatever they ordered.
got it, and it's all done right there in that lane? Okay. And we think that the majority of the traffic is going to go from, I don't know what you just wrote, from the pumps into the convenience store from this side, correct? Okay. Do we have any concerns about the vehicles that are parking there, or what type of pedestrian crosswalks or traffic, or what are we doing for those? You've got a lot going on there when it comes to a vehicle that's coming up to a window. We've got parked vehicles. We've got people entering in and out. Have we thought through any of that pedestrian safety or travel?
You want to talk to that?
Well, I would say when people pull into the gas station, if they do come into the convenience store, they would obviously go north-south across there. I would say the parking on the southwest side, I would think of that more as maybe employee parking or something of that nature. So I can't imagine someone would park over there for really many reasons other than that if they were going to park there for a long time.
Okay.
Most people would, pull in, get their gas, maybe walk in for a drink or snack or something and leave. And on the north side, and just to also clarify, this parking has been calculated for the future commercial as well on the north side. So it looks like a lot, but some of that parking actually goes to the north commercial. But we want to design it and build it now. That way when the building goes in, it's in and all the requirements are met. So in regards to the restaurant, if someone's coming to eat at that restaurant, they would either, one, pull through the drive-through and exit out at the J Road there, or they would park on the north side of the building and walk in, and they would not cross that the drive-through. So the only traffic that could really cross would be if someone were to pull in and pull left for some reason, which is more unlikely than all the other scenarios.
Just to make sure I understood correctly, we are anticipating and we're designing for the future building within this particular application, but we haven't really thought about how travel would go between the two buildings at all for pedestrians. Is that correct? Did I hear
Well,
that
in
right?
regards to pedestrians, they would just be walking out to their vehicles. I can't imagine they would be really going from the commercial and walking all the way over there. So no, we haven't taken into account for people to walk from the commercial to the convenience store. I mean, they could walk across the parking lot just like everyone else does to get to their car.
Don't have like a designated
Yeah, there's no
area,
designated
lanes,
sidewalk.
Crosswalk, sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it would be a minimal amount of traffic and a more a large extent of development to put that in. I mean, it's a possibility, but no, we haven't taken that into account.
I'm sure I'll have some questions later, but I'll wrap up there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a quick question for the civil engineer and also Hector, if you've got a second. The first question, and I appreciate all the questions from Commissioner Greneau. She's awesome, and she's very thorough, which I love. Has there been any consideration of mirroring this part of the site where you have the drive-through on the outside edge, and then you're keeping all the traffic on the western side?
We did. We actually had that version for quite a while, but the problem that arises is when you go up to a drive-through, you want to be on the left side. You want your driver's side to be there.
Gotcha.
So if you wanted to go to that restaurant and you flipped it, you would have to pull through the gas station.
Right.
And then there's no room to queue. Whereas if you have it on the north, you have to tell your passenger to grab your Diet Coke.
No, great.
So,
silly question. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good
So we
point.
did
Yeah.
look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My second question is, and I understand your concerns about that being a wetland in that area over there. My concern about that is what kind of maintenance will you be allowed to do outside of the wetlands so that it doesn't just become a jumbled mess of weeds and other things? I mean, a lot of times I think the wetland areas are the reeds, and I know Commissioner Pash will know this well. She does a lot of the stormwater. But a lot of the wetlands area is truly just the reeds and the stuff in the middle of it. Will they be able to keep the outsides trimmed up and looking nice? Because like Commissioner Greneau has said, this is a gateway into our city. It's also a gateway into a lot of really nice residential on just a little bit to the north there. What kind of maintenance will you be able to do if this is determined to be a wetland?
Yeah. Well, I would say the wetland portion is really just the bottom, if it is. I can't say it is or not because we don't have an official determination from U.S. Fish and Wildlife, but it's really a small portion in that bottom. And I don't know if it ever was a wetland or planned to be. I think it's just kind of happened because the water that comes from the roundabout to the south actually drains into there. And there's some that comes from the north as well. But I think it just kind of appeared over time. And yes, you can maintain both sides of it, all around it. It's really just the absolute bottom portion that would be probably considered. But all the slopes on the west, against the roadway, everything north-south, all of that is very accessible.
And it's going to be turfed, right?
Yes, likely, yeah. Perfect. I can't imagine it's anything other than turf, yeah.
I appreciate the J-hooked, through street. And I do appreciate you coming up with the word nefarious. I don't know if I've heard that before on this commission.
Well, I actually walked in there and it seemed like that.
Yeah. So when they developed the site, obviously all the trees along what we're talking about now, obviously all the trees along where the new road's going to go, are you or the owner, are they going to go back into those other areas and clear it out, like clear a bunch of the trees out? Because ultimately it's going to be developed, but at least is there a way to go in there and clean a lot of that out so that it is less nefarious or has less issues? I mean, I don't know if the city and if we've had a lot of reports of that or if the police have been over there, or fire or anyone. But if there is the issues over there, it would be nice to have the property owner take care of that so that we don't continue to have that.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say we've came up with a perfect solution with the city, but some of the talks so far have been, we would likely leave some of the trees along the northwest portion just to help keep somewhat of a buffer for the neighbors, because I know that's an issue that they brought up, and I understand that. So possibly leave some of the trees in that northwest, but the idea would be anything that is somewhat close to the J Road, we would likely, one, have to remove it because we need to put in temporary swales, but take out a portion of it that is very close to the J Road there. Because when you come in here, which I don't know if, I think there's only maybe a few of us that have actually walked in there, but when you walk in there, there's a bunch of piles of dumped trash and this, then it looks like maybe homeless people have lived there or people have done things in there that you don't want to know about. But the idea would be to clear all that out. And then honestly, all the trees that are there, none of them are mature, like awesome trees to keep on your site. Because we first looked at, what if we keep some of the site completely natural and we work around it? But after going in there, it's all just like short, maybe 5 to 10-year-old trees that none of them are really worth, I would say, saving or keeping around.
Right.
So it's more so just they've come in so tight with each
Right.
other that it's not.
And I think part of what my concerns are, and Commissioner Greneau has brought up a lot of the connectivity to pedestrians. The
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is have in areas where there's been concerns in the past.
Yeah.
And then you have these sidewalks where children and other people, teens or whatever, are walking to the C-store, because a lot of kids like to do that, and then they have to go through something like that. So I'd really like to see the property owner really kind of clean some of that up. I like the idea of keeping some of the boundary, because that'll be nice for when the development and screening comes in.
Yeah.
But then also clean it up and make it safe.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I think if you asked her, she wants to clear most of it. But then after hearing from the neighbors, maybe we come to some type of agreement to where we leave some screening on the north.
Sure.
That way we appease them, or everyone is kind of happy. We get rid of all the negative activities. We make it a pretty site and accessible for pedestrians to walk through.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Arth?
I will start with staff. I guess, Hector, is there any way you can pull up the comp? I'd like to see the land use map, the comp plan, suggested land use map, but I'd like to see it further south. I'd like to see the whole, if you could get both sides of, further down past, I'd like to see what's below that ag section there on the south side of 50.
So Blackwell would be through here. So mostly beyond, once you, again, it kind of mirrors again, once you get beyond about a similar sized area on the south side of 50 highway, you start getting to residential too. So once you get beyond the highway frontage, it starts becoming residential in nature primarily, recommended, with some mixed use at the far, east of there.
And that's all undeveloped, isn't it? It's still
Correct.
undeveloped.
Everything is
Okay,
undeveloped.
everything on this side is, okay.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see with that. And then, since you've talked about this before, I'll just put you on the spot with another question. As far as, what are the rules with, as far as whether liquor stores and shops that sell marijuana, how far do they have to be from a church? As the crow flies, as you say. I couldn't remember if it was
Shannon might know off
1,000
the top of his
feet or
head.
100 or,
Yeah, so the setback for marijuana dispensary would be 1,000 feet from a church or other protected site, school, or daycare.
okay.
And I will, just to clarify, or not to clarify, just to add a little bit more, on that one, it's, the ordinance requirement is not as a crow flies, but it's as like the closest,
From
or
door
the
to door?
shortest legal walking path.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah.
Which one is as a crow flies?
It's like, oh, you're asking what does it mean? or yes?
Which rule is as a crow flies? Because I know you've said that before.
Oh,
Maybe
crow
you've said
flies is
it's
just, I
not
mean,
as a
like
crow
point to
flies.
point, just straight line.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so that's when you were talking about it, I guess you referred to the difference between the two.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then what about a liquor store or, is there a rule when it comes to liquor sales in proximity to a church or school as well?
There is, not under the UDO. I'd have to look in the Code of Ordinance to see if there is one.
Okay, so how many feet are we from Summit Woods here?
Go from the boundary. If you were to go from there to there, it'd be about 600 feet or so.
Okay, so, and, all right. And is that the only, what about residential? Is there a requirement on dispensaries to be a certain number of feet from residential, or is it just on the churches and schools?
No, there's no setback from residential.
Okay, okay. So then, I guess I'm gonna pause at that, and I'd like to speak to the applicant, and I don't know if it's, I only wrote down Matt, I didn't write your last name, or maybe Mr. Foster, I'm not sure. It's a question about the tenant that might be in the C-store, the restaurant part of that. Do you happen to have an LOI or any tenant in mind, or have you been talking to a particular tenant?
We do not have any.
Okay, okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is it's restaurant, but it could also be a drive-through. I don't know if we have drive-through dispensaries. Are those legal, or drive-through liquor? That's just a question I have, if that's something that you would be considering for that. And, well, I guess because of the distance, it's not possible to do that there. Is that true? It's 600 and, what I'm trying to do, we've got residential around there, and I'm just trying to see how close we are for that use.
I don't think the applicant is considering having a user that sells alcohol or marijuana.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I figure residents may be concerned, so I really wanted to ask that one. Okay.
Chair,
All right.
I will.
We're looking at food, drive-through food.
I will add,
Okay.
if a marijuana business were to approach us about going in there and seek a business license, we would require a stamp survey to delineate that walking distance to ensure that they are compliant with all state laws and
Okay.
city ordinance.
Okay, all right.
So if it is too short, we wouldn't allow that in there.
Okay. So then, let me see here. So I guess this is for the applicant again. You are planning to do this in phases, and there are a lot of trees here. And you said you'd like to keep a border of trees if possible. And my question was, if you're doing the convenience store first, and then a commercial property to the north of that, would you be clearing out all of those trees at the same time as the commercial, or would those trees north of that on that particular parcel of land, or would you be keeping some of that during, because the commercial building does provide a little screening off of Shenandoah between the convenience store and the view for people that live in those houses. So I just wondered if you were going to clear it all off up front.
Oh, no, I guess. So for parcel 3, that is being asked of today to develop, all of the trees would be removed from it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The trees in question that we would leave would be on the west side of the J Road along that northwest portion.
Okay.
Yep.
The west.
Because that's where
to
the houses
west.
are kind of closest to Blue Parkway.
Okay.
On the north, we would need to clear that area for grading purposes to build that pad.
Okay, thank you. I can't read my writing, but this is a question for, I guess I'll ask you, Hector. So we've been talking a lot, we've had a lot of applications come our way, and we've talked about fenestration and the glass in particular. So can you tell me again what the requirement is for the glass?
Let me pull up an elevation to make it a little bit easier to explain. So this one would be a good one. So the way the ordinance reads is that a street-facing facade, it doesn't have to be the primary facade, it just says, just generally, just plain verbiage, just street-facing facade. that in the area that is, there's an 8-foot wide area that's called the pedestrian view zone. It's 8 foot tall. That 8 feet starts from 2 feet above grade and extends to 10 feet above grade. So let's just say for argument's sake that the wainscot here goes up only 2 feet. Okay, so starting at that 2 foot mark, we'll go up 8, and let's say that the 8 feet, that these windows, all this is exactly 8 feet, so at the top of the windows is 10 feet. What our ordinance says is that in this pedestrian view zone, so between 2 and 8 feet above, 10 feet above grade, there must be a minimum 50% clear glass through there. Now here they're accomplishing that on the north side and the south side of the building because it's a two-faced building. But again, with this being a piece of property that has frontages on multiple sides of property, one of them just happens to be Blackwell, which on a normal lot, if you're not dealing with the corner lot, that ordinance wouldn't apply. It's a side, it's one of the building sides, not a primary face. Just the plain language of the ordinance requires that if we're looking at this kind of angled rendering, the clear verbiage of the language says that should turn the corner and extend to that facade because it happens to face Blackwell Road, even though it's not a primary facade or anything like that. So.
Okay, so define pedestrian as far as because when you look at the south side, really that's not going to be pedestrian. The south side doesn't seem to be, it's going to be pedestrian. It's going to be right there up against the 50 high, I mean, not up against 50 highway, but facing 50 highway. You're not having, that's not going to be an area people are going to walk a lot in. So I just wondered what that means by pedestrian. Just if somebody was walking by, they could see it. Is that what you're meaning, or?
Well, just the area happens to be called the pedestrian view zone. I mean, typically, yeah, I mean, that would be the area where you would have the most interface, the most interaction between someone, in this case, accessing the building.
Coming inside.
Would be on the front. That's where
Okay.
you would interface with that building.
Okay, so, and the reason I ask is we've had some modifications with this, and maybe it is something we need to talk about in Roundtable, whether we need to look at that ordinance.
Yeah. So one thing I know that Commissioner Janet Ford mentioned was about the possibility of maybe punching through, maybe providing, if I understood correctly, maybe providing some glass in the areas kind of on the side of the building above the wainscot. So just as an example, if again we're using this is 2 and 8, hypothetically, if everything here that's in this robin's egg color, I changed the color, I think, sorry. But so I'm going to call it robin's egg because I like it. So hypothetically, if the applicant agreed to all of this here being robin's egg, if it sits above 10 feet above grade and technically not part of the pedestrian view zone, they don't get credit for that. So it does, it would definitely provide improved visual interest, but just the strict definition of what that view zone is, if it's above 10 feet above grade or below 2, you get no credit for it. It would still technically need a modification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Hector. All right. I am done for now, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pesh.
Thank you, Chair. So here's the problem about going second to last is there's a lot of good questions that came before me, but I did have one for staff. So Hector, if you don't mind keeping standing. Could you, for my knowledge and just everyone else, go through the different levels of complaints? You mentioned a protest petition and individual homeowner complaints. I just would like to understand kind of the process for resolving and anything else that you do on the staff side.
So I mentioned two things. We have received email correspondence. I believe one of them came through our website, through our portal, and others have just been directly directed to like council members or some of our administration. So just to provide a little bit of differentiation between how I made a distinction between the two. So a protest petition is a letter, there's a form letter. So in writing, we receive something from a property owner indicating that they are kind of formally submitting opposition to a project, and that form is notarized, signed, sealed by a notary, so that we have assurance that this person, to the best a notary can certify, and that we can confirm that this person who owns property is in fact such and such person, and they formally submitted opposition to this project. So we've received so far one of those, and that was from the HOA, signed by the HOA president. The other 5 that we've received so far have just been emails or letters, not formal protests. They weren't notarized. So those we kind of take in, and they've been included as part of your attachment. Those don't count toward the protest petition. So if any of those property owners, if they happen to be here, submitted anything by writing, and if it was not on a form that was notarized, signed and notarized by the public, we'll certainly forward them onto the Planning Commission and City Council for everyone's awareness that there is opposition, but it cannot, unless it's signed and sealed by a property owner within 85 feet of the site, it cannot go toward that threshold, the determination if a threshold has been broached to require City Council to have minimum 6 votes to approve a project versus a simple majority. So in other words, if they cross the 30% threshold of all property owners within 185 feet of the site that submit a notarized opposition, that would then trigger a supermajority requirement to approve a project at the City Council level. So does that answer your question as to what the difference was between the two?
Yes, it does. Thank you. That's helpful.
Okay.
Commissioner Astor?
Thank you. And just to confirm, there would be additional questions after the public comment section, correct? Thank you. For the applicant, please, I was also curious about the drive-through restaurant or brand, but again, there's nothing identified yet, correct? Okay. And then on the actual C-store itself, is there an existing brand or is it a franchise, anything as far as?
So I'll step in on that one. Just remember that the Planning Commission reviews land use decisions. So the operator of that particular C-store, whether it's Quick Trip, Quickie Mart or not, is kind of irrelevant to the land use decision on that.
So this was specific to some of the design choices as well as the lack of design provided for the canopy of the fuel stations?
Yeah, so we can kind of maybe rephrase that into the architectural questions with the compatibility as opposed to the operator.
Okay. Sorry, just rethinking how to phrase that then, because we just last meeting had discussion regarding the canopy for a fuel station that we took cues from other locations designed.
So you can go into that compatibility design standard of that, but if you're going to go down the route of I'd rather see a Quick Trip design standard versus a Quickie Mart design standard, that's not something that we can really review during the land use decision.
Okay. Do we have any idea of what the fuel station canopy is going to look like at this time?
Yeah, we don't. That's the owner has, I guess, not signed off that the particular brand that's going to be of gas station that will be there. They will do the design build for that, the canopy itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that is obviously very relevant to all discussions of this type, but particularly this specific location and talking about gateway corridor entrance to the city and that being on the furthest southeast piece of it. I think that's a pretty large missing piece of the puzzle right now of what that would look like. I guess just my 2 cents is I would hope it reflects a slightly different design or color palette from the main building there, particularly as that relates to being the entrance to the city with that fuel canopy. So, all right, thank you. I think that was it for the
Great, thank you.
applicant. I did have a traffic question.
Need to swear in. You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do.
So the traffic impact analysis had 3 recommendations. One, constructing the east leg of the roundabout of Shenandoah and Blue Parkway, which seemed like, candidly, kind of a no-brainer. You just had to do that for this. The second is a stop-controlled right-in, right-out for the northbound approach. So, I'm sorry, just stating the obvious, but that is right-in, right-out only.
Correct.
From the north
Correct.
corridor there.
Yep.
So if someone were coming from the highway to get fuel, they would exit 50, first roundabout, second roundabout, third roundabout, and then either take the J leg.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Go ahead and get me to the site plan. Yes.
Yeah, that any of those are.
That'll work. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So you exit the highway down here.
Yep.
You're coming around this roundabout. You come all the way down and around this roundabout and in here. Most likely, this right in, right out is going to be used for exiting only. Because if you look at all possible ways to get to the site, no one's really coming here and making a right into the site. Everyone's coming in through this roundabout. People from Blue Parkway are coming up and coming in this way. People from Shenandoah are kind of going around and through.
Good.
So hardly any traffic is making that right in. It's mostly for exiting traffic. I don't know what your question was, though.
No, that's correct. That's, seems difficult to get to the fuel pumps from the highway.
When this development first came to us, they tried to get access onto Blackwell. That is MoDOT's road right there. MoDOT will not allow access on Blackwell between the 2 roundabouts. And so then they tried to get full access where the right-in, right-out is, and we were not amenable to that because it's too close to the roundabouts. And when this was all built, it was set up to access this parcel from this potential 4th leg of the roundabout. So, yes, the applicant did come to us with several different designs, none of which we were in favor of. So yes, it is difficult to get in there to get to the gas pumps, but they were made aware of that from the beginning.
Okay. All right, I think that's it. I may have more later.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Janiford.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hatcher, for reminding me about canopies. May the architect stand up real quick, please? So there isn't an elevation for the fuel canopy, but I was reminded it's a drive-through, you have a speaker box. Do you have a design or elevation of the speaker box or the canopy shielding people ordering as they come in?
No, we don't yet have that.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I assume, I'm not going to assume, do you have a canopy for the drive-through window?
So the drive-through, yeah, the building itself will not provide protection for that, so that's not yet integrated into the design yet.
Okay.
Also, the drive-through window, it may never be used as well. So, for instance, if a business that goes in there that doesn't do drive-through, it's just set up so that it can be a drive-through, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll save that for comments. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Arth.
So in regard to, this is for the applicant, this is in regard to getting in to the way you have to get in off of 50 highway. I just have a question about this. Well, and maybe this is for staff too. How are people going to know to go that route? Or is there going to be signage? Is it, and this may be both city and applicant. I might not, I mean, if I was getting off and I was not familiar with the area, I might find it a little daunting to try to figure it out, so I'm just curious. Especially when that area, parcel 1, is still, there might be a fair amount of trees there that people can't see too far ahead as far as getting into the site.
It's a good question. I think it would, mimic any other gas station along the highway. I'm not sure what the requirements are with MoDOT, if they would be able to advertise previous in advance on the highway. But in regards to it being there, I think it's kind of just like every other location. You kind of see it along the highway and you would go to it. So I can't say that there'd be a giant sign.
So I will say, MoDOT has a program to get those logo signs on the highway. They do come at a cost, and so if the applicant chooses to do it, they could purchase those. And then at the bottom of the ramp, they have what are called trail finding signs, and so it would try to get you there. It's still not easy when you're talking about a roundabout, but if you can picture going to food or gas stations, there are little trail finding signs along the way. So that's an option for the applicant, but it's nothing that we would require as a city.
Okay, I was actually, maybe it is more for the applicant, because I would be nervous about people being able to get to me. I understand that there can be signage off the highway and let people know at that exit there's that service, but I just think it could be a little difficult. Okay, all right, on parking. Hector, so I can't remember, we have a 5,000, no, it's, what is that? Is it say, what is that? I can't read that. Is it 5,050 by 100? Okay, so how many parking spots for that required?
For the commercial, it'd be 5,000, so it'd be 25.
25
25
parking
for that.
spots, okay. And so how many are here again? You probably went over it already,
On
but
this one, they are showing a total of 110. They are, if you take into account the 5,000 square foot building and what's needed for the C-store, there are 79 that are required for it. So they are about 31 parking spaces over.
almost 50% over, because 31, well, no, a little under 50% over. Okay, I guess my concern or question for the applicant is, do we have to do all that? It's the impervious coverage question. Do we have to do all that parking before the commercial building is actually built? Because what sometimes happens is a tenant doesn't come along that needs that large of a building or that much parking, and then we've ended up carving up a bunch of ground and having to deal with the water and things like that. So that's my question, if that could be done in increments.
Well, in regards to stormwater and detention, all of the stormwater infrastructure will take care of any of the concerns that you mentioned, erosion, dirt and stuff like that. So there's really no concerns there. But there is the access on the north side that people would enter the drive-through or just need to come through the north to get to the parking for the convenience store or restaurant. I think that southwest portion near the pumps could be removed. So if we want to reduce the amount of spaces, and then we could maybe use that as a landscape buffer between the two parcels, which there would be in some anyways. But in regards to the northern portion of the parking, I would say most, if not all, needs to be completed in order to have that northern entrance and to be able to loop around to the east. I think it creates good traffic flow instead of having people come in, park, and then have to go back out kind of where they came from. I think it creates good flow throughout the parking lot to have both sides open.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Pesh.
Chair, I move for a brief recess, let's say 5 minutes.
All right, we okay with a 5-minute break? All right, sorry, citizens, I know you've been patient with us. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Ever wondered how the city budget works? The total 2026 budget is over $380 million, which includes funding for daily operations, capital improvements, debt service, internal service, and enterprise operations. For example, the general fund is the foundation for the city's day-to-day services and investments like road maintenance, public safety, and fire protection. The general fund is supported by property taxes, sales taxes generated by local businesses, franchise taxes, and other sources like licenses, permits, and fees. For every dollar citizens pay in property tax, the city receives 18 cents. This means the city receives $845 a year in property taxes for a median single-family house. These taxes provide public safety, park maintenance, infrastructure, and the best services to keep Lee Summit going and improving. One of the community's top priorities is infrastructure investment, which is reflected in the Capital Improvement Plan. $113 million of the 2026 budget is invested into the Capital Improvement Plan. The 2026 Capital Improvement budget includes investments like the 291 and 50 Highway Interchange, 3rd Street, Ward and Purcell's intersection, and Pryor Road. The budget process includes guidance from the City Council, citizen input, and critical success factors from the city's Ignite strategic plan. To learn more about the city's budget, visit cityofls.net/budget.
When the person called on the phone, she said that there was a dinosaur walking down her road. Of course, we had to go out and check that out. We get out there, and it was a big African tortoise, probably 60 pounds, walking down the road. When they walk, they really stand up tall, so I could see why she thought it was a dinosaur. I'm Rodney Wagner. I'm the manager of Lee Summit Animal Control. So as you can see, we get all sorts of animals here. You got some guinea pigs off to the side. All the windows up here are animals that are adoptable right now. Every one of these dogs is ready to go and ready for adoption. And the same thing with our cats over here. A lot of cool cats in here now, so. This is our 3-acre lot we have out back. This is where we do all the walking of dogs, exercise. We also have a side yard off to the side over there, so we can let them run loose. They can run together, and we have what's called play groups. Kind of like having a bunch of kids. Here's our vet room. We have a vet that comes out twice a week. This is our Sally Port where we bring the animals into. This is one of our animal control trucks, and we can hold up to 6 animals. We have a lift on the other side to put big animals in. We actually have temperature gauges in here and in the truck to tell us how hot it is. Once it gets to a certain temperature, we bring all the animals back here immediately. So this actually has traps in it, but we do a lot of wildlife trapping. I mean, a lot. So bats, potbelly pigs, horses, cows, emus, a lot of reptiles. We had a citizen one time that had over 200 reptiles in his basement. Caimans and alligators in here that are 4 or 5 feet long. You can't keep those. And people do, and they're surprised when they can't keep them. I'm like, really? You're surprised you can't have an alligator in your house? Our main goal here is public safety and also the safety of the animals. And we have very dedicated people back there, and they definitely stay here for the love of the animals, which also includes getting them adopted out. We'll have about 4,000 impounded animals a year. Probably about close to 2,000 are dogs and cats. The cats and dogs, when they get impounded here, they go on a 5-day hold. And then after the 5 days, if the owner doesn't show up, then we can put them up for adoption. To adopt an animal here is actually really simple. You just come in, look for whatever animal you're looking for, find the right pick. You go to the adoption room up there and see if you get along with them. You spend as much time as you want to in there. From that point on, it's just a matter of making sure they're spay or neutered and all their vaccinations up to par and they're good to go. We have a very high adoption rate because we try everything in our power to get animals adopted out. We have Heart of America, a Humane Society that we do a lot of adoptions through. And then we also have other groups. We have some people that literally will just look all over the country for somewhere for a dog to go. And we've sent dogs up into South Dakota, North Dakota, Washington State. So it's actually, it's a huge united effort to get all these animals home. Tarzan's crazy, but
Lots of energy. Hazel's got a weird meow. Bell, she wants nothing to do with the other cats. She'll kind of get her grumpy face going.
And the good thing about the people here is that they get all their friends to get animals too. All of us have probably the limit of all the animals that we can have at home. You know, they are huge animal lovers. If it was up to the people here, we'd have 15 cats running around in here. We had a citizen one time out there, and he was bathing his two 9-foot-long boa constrictors in the front yard. Apparently, I was garnering some attention, and so we went out there and had to have a talk with him about that. Why do I do this job? Oh, dude, I love this job. I grew up on a farm, and taking care of that many animals, you can't help but like animals. This is just like fancy farming. You know, you're just bringing animals in here, taking care of them, and find them homes, and yeah, absolutely animal lover.
This is the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here. I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate.
Just to speak and support our opposition to this application, come ahead to the microphone, state your name and address. I do have two registered speakers, but you don't have to be registered to speak. So I will start with, and I know I think you gave me NJ as a give, but is Neandra Josie? Naranja. Do you have comments? Okay, come on forward. Sorry, I butchered your name.
It's all right, you can call me NJ.
Yeah, so just again, if you would state your name and address, and then just know you have about up to 3 minutes, and there's a
so
timer over here.
My name is Narendra Jogi, and I live at 658 Southeast Canterbury Lane. So basically, that the north exit that's facing the residential, my house is right there. So at the corner of Shenandoah and right at the Canterbury Lane, and it used to be Shenandoah right now, so it's Blue Park. So that exit is going to affect me directly, and then I just wanted to mention that these roundabouts, the gap for the cars to go is just a one-way traffic. Two-way, just one lane. So as you go through that, as this is the entry is going to be from Highway 50 through Blackwell to the first roundabout. It's going to go to the next roundabout, and it's going to come back in. I wanted to mention that these fuel trucks and the food trucks, they're pretty huge. I don't know how they're going to navigate around that roundabout right by the church, something to go into that. But my main concern was the J road, whatever, and today I learned that it's going to be a one-way exit, entering from there too. So my concern is that from all the presentations of the pictures, there's a church. There's a fair mention of that there is a big retirement home there's like 2 of them, so there's one that's missing there. There are retirees that walk that pathway. Thank God it's lighted, so it's a beautiful place to walk in the evening, safe. And my concern is basically, you know, as the kids and all those are walking, and there is no, you know, I think that pathway between the first roundabout to that exit is pretty narrow, and so if the cars are getting there, it might even cause congestion, you know, as it's coming out. So my concern is the safety and the noise, and you know, if there is mention of the trees getting cleared in there, so you're gonna get the effects of the light and noise and things like that. So our concern is that there are people living there. Even now, we got some noise in Blackwell. We don't have speed bumps, so you know, cars kind of go fast, you know. So I just wanted to bring in light that, you know, that I wish that J was set differently and it would go towards the west, you know, maybe come in through the west and loop and go towards where that church is, where that there's a road that is much wider than the one that's, you know, going from the Blackwell to across the thing. So it directly affects me and some people nearby. It's not very far away that keeps that. So if there was a barrier of some kind that would help us with the lights and the noise, that would be a nice thing. You know, like Lee Summit is for cities for smart planning and safety, right? So that was my main concern is the.
Thank you, Mr. Joby.
Thank you.
Chair, would it be helpful to have the plan up on the slide deck?
Hector, can you grab that? I have a Miss Jackie Huff. Are you here still? Yeah, thank you. Oh, sorry. Sorry we're taking so long.
No, you're fine. Real quick, I did just want to say that notifications were only sent out to houses that are within 300 feet, so I know there were comments on the number of emails. I've gone door to door handing out flyers because there isn't any notification, and I've been CC'd on, I believe, 3 or 4 emails since then. So I think if you actually asked more people and actually let people know what's going on, a lot of people still don't know what's going on. So I think that will change. Those have been sent directly to City Council. So I would ask to re-tally those. But my name's Jackie Huff. I am at 654 Southeast Canterbury Lane. I've lived there for 8 years. I'm right next to NJ, so this directly impacts me as well. I'm asking you to deny this application. I have been following this project very closely, reading all of the reports, the engineering reports, planning comments, and what concerns me is that none of our concerns are really being addressed. This includes the stormwater management, traffic issues that we brought up, and just compatibility with the actual neighborhood that it surrounds. So currently the plan is going to direct traffic towards our neighborhood. We've already talked about cars going over. There's been a fatality accident right down the road on Shenandoah. There's a little memorial site there. There's been cars turned over going off-road into the grassy areas right by our home. This is just going to increase, especially with how many curves you have to do in order to get there. I walk these paths with my son. I love that I'm able to walk my neighborhood, get outdoors, and I love the treed area. It provides buffers, and I won't be able to do that. I won't feel safe doing that in my area. Also, a gas station operates very differently than most commercial buildings. They're open late, if not 24 hours a day. They have fuel tankers coming, customers coming and going, additional noise, bright canopy lights that are going to be reflected into our neighborhood, illuminated signage that, again, is going to be reflected into our neighborhood. And that's just going to completely change the entire neighborhood. I'm also very concerned about the stormwater treatment. So the city's own engineering review stated that there is limited real estate available for stormwater treatment. He also questioned if the detention basins had adequate capacity with the current plans. As somebody who has a city storm drain in my backyard, I get all of the neighboring water flowing through my backyard. We've had water issues in the past. Many of the residents have been there for 20, 30 years. There's been continual water issues, and we're going to disrupt that with this. And so having that not being addressed is really concerning. I want to make sure that the runoff would work properly. I mean, they've pointed out that there's concerns for the adjacent properties. I understand growth's important. I'm not anti-growth, but not every development is appropriate for every location, and this isn't just not appropriate for this corner. We've invested in this neighborhood, and I would just ask that you deny this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huff. Are there other comments? Yeah, come on forward, sir. Please state your name and address.
Jeff Wright, 25.
You can come up here to the mic. Oh, yeah, were you
needs to be
sworn in
sworn in.
earlier? No, okay, thank you.
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. My name is Jeff Wright. I live at 2541 Southeast Winchester Drive. That's roughly directly above the roundabout on the drawing there to the west. So my family's lived in Lee Summit for almost 30 years. We've lived in this neighborhood for about 24. That's as old as our oldest child. We love the city, we love the town, we love the community, and our whole family have gone through the schools here. The town means a lot to us, and we love staying in our backyard, having fire pits, things like that, but we have to kind of say, at least from my family's point of view, there are concerns. We are very much worried sort of about the lighting issues, what's that's going to do to evenings in the backyard during summer. The traffic issue we have had, as other people have said, we've had multiple people go the wrong way around those roundabouts. They get confused. We're going to increase traffic. And I do also have to, I just want to say this from a personal point of view. We understand that, you know, kids might go into some of those areas that are wooded and do stuff that kids or teenagers do that may not be appropriate. I take a little offense at the word nefarious activities. And I do have to say something about that. I think that probably was a poor choice of words personally. For me, if there are nefarious activities going on, I don't know that I can strongly then stand here and say convenience stores do away with nefarious activities. So I feel like this is not necessarily the spot for a convenience store. And I'm not a public speaker. I'm not trying to be. I just feel that issues are going to affect a lot more people than were made aware about this. And I think that if you listen to the people of Lee Summit who live in some of these neighborhoods, you may find that they have the same concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I think I saw another hand up there. Yeah. You want to come ahead to the microphone, state your name and address? You're fine.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And did you get sworn in?
Yeah, I did earlier.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Ronan. I live at 2545 Southeast Kimbrell Lane. That's my current address, but I actually grew up in this neighborhood too. My parents lived in Winsboro. They bought one of the first houses in 1996, and I lived there for like 24 years. We were always so proud of like what grew on that street. They showed a lot of it. It's libraries, churches, hospital. They didn't show the daycare that is actually there too. There's a daycare on that street. I love the community-based aspect of it. I like to take my kids, walk them up to the library. I love having a library in my community. I think adding this convenience store to the very end would just ruin everything that was built over the last 30 years in this area. I would really recommend maybe some of you driving through there and seeing all the kids. This part of the neighborhood, a lot of people bought during COVID. We're staying there because the interest rates were so low. We have little kids. I mean, if you go down my street, Kimbrell, half the streets have like kids signs like, watch out, kids here, slow down, kids. I just feel like the convenience store is not conducive for this neighborhood that's right here. I appreciate the maybe one example that was shown, but that looks relatively new. Those are townhomes, not single-family homes, and this has been here for 30 years. And we've built really great community-based businesses along Shenandoah, and I would really, really love to keep it that way. And I just don't think a gas station, potentially a 24-hour one, really fits in that. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Public. Oh, sorry, I think I lost my mic. Any other public comments? Just want to make sure you guys have been very patient. So, yeah, go on, come on. Were you sworn in earlier? I was. Oh, okay, great. So just state your name and address and.
Hi, I'm Heather Hayes, and I live at 501 Southeast Canterbury Lane. I just have a lot of questions and maybe some other comments. My questions are, how many people can eat inside the restaurant? How many restaurants are within gas stations that are successful? Fast food places usually have their own design exterior, so what is the thought on that? When is Fish and Wildlife doing their evaluation? How many cars can get gas at the same time? How many pumps are there? Where is the signage going to be? Is it going to be in the residential area so that when they go around the roundabout, do they go in? How will large fuel trucks and things like that go around those roundabouts? I have concerns about air quality, VOCs, contamination, underground storage leaks, vapor intrusions, harmful fumes, fire or explosion potentials with thousands of gallons of flammable fluids. Children and pedestrians with heavy traffic, just to second your comment about the kids, right? Increased crime, 24 hours, convenience stores and gas stations. I mean, I was young once and that's where I did some nefarious things. Anyway, constant vehicle traffic, delivery trucks. Is there going to be like vacuum stations or anything like that? Bright canopy lights. Like, I don't know, anytime I go towards like a gas station that has lots of lights, there's always these pigeons that are kind of circling some of those things. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I'm not sure if we want more pigeons, even though we do like other birds. Congestion, lots of congestions. And then I have one more thing. FHA restrictions, properties situated within 300 feet of gas stations. Sometimes that really hinders home values and possibility of buying homes if you have an FHA approved mortgage. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. That was very comprehensive. Appreciate it.
I'm a quick speaker.
No, I appreciate it. It's good. I appreciate you guys being here with us. Okay, so there were a lot of questions there. I think some of them were addressed, but I know there was some information around the noise study, Mr. Soto, or not a study, but there was, I believe in the packet, there were some comments about that. Do you want to reiterate kind of what your findings were around that?
I know a question had been posed in the past, prior to this hearing, as to whether or not any noise studies have been required of other similar applications, and we have not. The most recent instances where we've required or asked for, not noise study per se, but noise decibel level information, were related to some of our more recent car washes that had outdoor vacuum stations, or just if there were questions about just the mechanical equipment that operates, that are used in operation in association with the car washes. And those we have required some decibel studies, but as it relates to just C-stores in general, we've not required them. They've not been asked for in the past either. We don't have a history of noise complaints from other existing C-stores in the city that we've seen to have reflect some kind of a pattern.
Well, where was I recalling? Maybe it was it in your questions? Around the distance of the C-store to the housing addition, to the nearest home.
About 500 feet or so.
It's 500 feet.
Thereabouts.
And when we have talked about noise in the past, because we have, I know it's mostly been around car washes and vacuums and car washes, and to our knowledge, we don't know if this is going to have a car wash and/or vacuum station. I mean, it's a valid question because we don't know a lot about what's going to go in here, but I understand that's not necessarily our purview tonight. But yeah, can you?
Well, what I'll speak to in that regard is that the application as currently presented does not show any car wash, vacuum stations, or the like. So if the applicant were to decide to try to have that component added to their application, we would require them to come back through a public hearing
Yeah, let me
process.
finish the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I kind of trailed off. That was my own fault. When we have studied vacuum car washes, this has come up in other neighborhoods. There was the study that was noted about the drop-off of the decibel of noise and how that trails off at a certain distance. Can you recall any of that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull this out of your head, so.
Yeah, that was probably related to the McBee's car wash in Arborwalk area, perhaps.
Yeah, it was. I believe that was it.
I don't recall what the calculation or what the kind of ratio was, like decibel to distance.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while. It's been a minute. I can't recall it either. But I know that we have data to show when there is noise decibels at certain levels. And I'm not saying that there's going to be that at a C-store, but, I was just curious if you could say that off the top of your head. I know that we have talked about stormwater and water management, but I don't know, Sue, if you want to talk a little bit about answering or reiterating kind of staff's analysis of what's going on here with this piece of land.
Sure.
You do a really nice job of kind of explaining the whole stormwater stuff. I've seen you do it, so
Thanks.
I'm giving you a chance to shine.
Sue Powell's Development Engineering Manager. They have submitted a preliminary stormwater report, and the purpose of the preliminary reports is basically just to show that the stormwater can be managed according to our specifications, but they don't get granular enough to specifically size anything or anything like that. But they've shown in their reports, in their preliminary report, that they will be able to meet our requirements when they get to the final development plan stage, where the specific design will be done and a final stormwater report will be required. And that's the point where the specific routing and all the calculations will be looked at in a much more detailed manner. And they'll have to show that all of our specifications are being met, or we won't approve it. So at this point, they've just shown in general that they have the space to put the detention basins in, and that they intend to meet our requirements. And that's really at the preliminary stage all we do. We want to make sure that there's enough space for those basins. That's the primary consideration.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask?
Sure, go right
Just
ahead.
real quick. And so when you say it meets our requirements, by that, do you mean that the water that's generated on site stays on site, and so that it shouldn't impact the neighboring?
What I mean is that the rate of release out of the detention basin will meet the rate of release requirements for the different storms, different rain events that our specifications have in it. And in most cases, 100, 10, and 2-year storms, the rate is reduced from what the existing is. So there won't be this huge increase in water. That's what the detention is for. That's what the orifices in the outlet structures are for. They're to keep it on the site and to release it slowly. And we have really specific requirements as to how that water can be released. And they also have to study that the downstream system is adequate for it. And that'll all be kind of gone through with a fine-tooth comb in the final report.
And off the top of your head, best knowledge, obviously, you don't have the design plans in front of you. Does this drainage basin touch the detention ponds or any of the drainage infrastructure on Canterbury or any of the neighboring?
No, I mean, this will be completely self-contained. And when the water leaves the site, it'll be as if it's leaving the site now, only it won't be more, it'll be a reduced rate. So higher volume, but a reduced, slower rate of release. So it'll be less impactful.
I know this is a little outside of this application, but I know you also know about stormwater. Could you just remind us where, because I know in neighborhoods that are 30 years old, there are stormwater issues all over the city. There's a plan around it. Like, where do people go to get that information?
That is handled through the Public Works Department. And so all of the existing infrastructure, any stormwater upgrades that are done in existing areas, that's all through the Public Works Department.
Now, I know Blackwell was redone fairly recently, and I'm hearing there's still some stormwater issues there, so the residents should reach out to the
Public Works.
the
yes.
Public Works Department.
Yes,
about
they have the
Okay.
process in place for that.
it. Okay, great. Thank you, Sue. I think there were also some questions about lighting, light diffusion, and so I don't know what kind of study you guys have did on the lighting of the pad site.
Yeah, we submitted a site lighting plan as part of the application. I'm not sure if it's in here. But it was determined to meet the standards for the ordinances within from the city. So if we're outside, we're not outside the ordinance, whatever is required within the ordinance.
Yeah, what's the height of the lights and the
The
parking?
luminosity, the height, the building, let's see, they can't be any taller than the roof because they're on the side of the building. So an average will be 12 foot.
So in that
round
parking lot between the C-store and the future commercial building, there's no?
There is site lighting, there is parking lighting in the parking areas on poles. So sorry, yes. The poles have higher lights to get more diffuse light. But they're low enough that by the time they get to the ground, it's even lighting across the site.
So, Hector, do you want to add to that?
Yeah.
So because this property is adjacent to residential across the street, there are maximum mounting heights, which for parking lot poles would be no taller than, overall on the site, they can have no taller than 20 feet. For areas that are within 100 feet of residential property, that would be limited to 15 feet. So within 100 feet of residential property, which is across the street, poles or wall-mounted light cannot be taller than 15 feet above grade. When to get beyond 100 feet from residential, then they could be up to 20 feet. And just to provide some comparison, your typical commercial development, when there is no residential adjacent to it, those poles can be up to 28 feet above grade. So these would be significantly lower than anything you would see on a typical commercial development.
The closest property is the church. What is the height? Do you have any idea what the height is on their poles?
On their poles? I don't know.
Are they 20 or? I mean, they're right across the street from the neighborhood as well. Okay. I'm just trying to pull from your head.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
In the packet, Commissioner Greneau and I looked at the lighting plan, and it shows zeros all across the property, at the property boundary. So there shouldn't be any light that crosses the street.
Thank you for clarifying that. The other thing was around traffic flow. I think we've covered, we have talked about traffic considerably, but do you have anything to add to some of the citizens' questions around, there was a lot of comments around traffic and safety. Big trucks, food trucks, fuel trucks.
Mr. Chairman, may I jump in?
Yeah.
Yeah, Susan, question, from the questions that were asked, some of the concerns were how are gas delivery vehicles, other delivery trucks. Can you explain to our residents that are in here, how are roundabouts designed and how are the bigger trucks handled across roundabouts? And then one question I also have is, was auto turn, and maybe you can discuss to see if auto turn was done after you get done with your description.
Sure.
Thank you.
So this was all designed as part of a highway project. All these roundabouts went in when the interchange was revised. every roundabout has a truck apron, so if you think about where the driving part is, there's a mountable curb on the inside. It's usually colored concrete. As a car driver, you don't notice it, but if you're driving an 18-wheeler or something, your back wheels go up on that, and it's perfectly fine. That's what it's designed to do. So this would have been designed to accommodate every vehicle, since it was designed as part of the interchange. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay.
Commissioner Arth, did you want to add a question?
Yes, I don't remember seeing anything about signage. Was that in the packet at all?
So signage is, the short answer is no, there was not anything above submitted regarding signage. So in other words, the applicant has not requested anything above what the standard signage ordinance allows in the UDO.
And can you tell us what that is so everybody knows what the...
So for a multi-tenant building, multi-tenant buildings are allowed 2 wall signs by right for each individual tenant within the building. For standalone or single-tenant buildings, there is a maximum allowance of 3 wall signs for each individual single-tenant building. And then there are some allowances for monument signage as well.
Okay, so they would need to that would be an administrative approval if they went over, well, no, if they stay within that, otherwise that comes back to Planning Commission. If it's, okay, all right. Thank you, Hector.
Hector, while you're standing there, what about can you talk to the notice? I know you noticed this hearing and all that kind of stuff. Can you just talk about the standards related to that?
So the noticing requirements that are in our ordinance indicate or state that notice via certified letter has to be sent out to all property owners located within 300 feet of the boundaries of the project site. So in this case, let me use this. So this particular buffer that's shown here, this kind of, lapis lazuli, donut or ring. This one's 180 feet. This one's 180 feet wide, 185 feet wide. So notice would have been sent out to all property owners within, add another 120 feet out around this buffer, about this ring. And notice would have been sent out to all those property owners within 300 feet of that. Oh, here, I've got a document camera that'll. So all of that area encompasses 300 feet outside the boundaries of the project site. So those would have been the property owners who should have received certified mail notice.
Okay, was it also posted in a public?
Yeah, the sign, the big yellow signs are posted along the perimeter of the property. That has to be done at least 15 days ahead of the public hearing. These notices that are referred to would have been mailed out a minimum 15 days before the public hearing, and then there's also a legal notice published in the legal publication for Kansas City. 9 signs. There were a total of 9 signs that were posted along the perimeter of the site. I know due to recent storms, I don't know how many of them are currently up right now, but 9 signs went up.
Yeah, I mean, they are oversized signs, but I drive by them all the time. You have to stop to oh, what's that sign mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Commissioners, are there any additional questions that you need to ask the applicant and or the city before we have a conversation?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple questions for Shannon. Usually within our packets, we see elevations of any kind of canopies, materials, and unfortunately, it's not included, and I think that's a really important thing for us to deliberate, especially if, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we go and approve this tonight, we will not get another chance to see this. So correct?
That is correct.
So can you please just explain why we didn't get that information?
1 second.
The simple answer is it was not provided by the applicant. Like I mentioned, their design hasn't been finalized yet, so it was not provided, and therefore it's not in your packet.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners? Does the applicant care to respond to anything from public comment? From the citizens or commission questions?
I would just say in regards to the canopy item, they have been in talks with multiple users to set up who may or may not be that fuel company to facilitate. So I guess it's hard to determine what that fuel company would want or what we agree to. So, because we're in the middle of trying to figure that out. So it's hard to say it's going to be blue or green or red or whatever it's going to look like. So that's why there's nothing referenced right now. So it's an item that may or may not, differ or change based on who the end user is. So it's just hard for us to determine that to give you something, is all I would say.
Mr. Chairman? Well, I guess where we're going is we recently had a discussion with a gas station, grocery store that's coming into town. They provided their canopy. We were able to comment on it and actually ask them to change it.
Okay.
And so canopies to us need to mimic the material and the design and color scheme of the building and the surrounding areas. And it's hard for me to move forward without even knowing what that could be. Because if we approve this today, you could go in with something that would really not be, it may meet our minimum standards, and we're really trying not to meet minimum standards anymore. And so for us to, at least for me to move forward, I'd like to see that as part of it. And I understand that's yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm going to ask. I think we'll talk about that as part of the discussion piece, but that's why I was asking about that.
Understood.
Right. Hearing no further testimony, I'll close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting. Is there commission discussion, commissioners would like to discuss this application? Commissioner Chanaford.
Thank you, Chair. Remind me, this is where I can say comments freely? Okay. I'm having a hard time, comments, yeah. I'm having a hard time, I feel like there is potential. I'm unsure if this particular product needs to be in this location. That's one thing I'm struggling with. The other aspect is I feel like this application is more on the lean concept side than it is something that we can focus on. I feel like there's a lot of missing pieces, the canopy being the big one. With this being a pedestrian, it's a close proximity to a lot of pedestrian-friendly residents. There wasn't any clear path of like how we're going to create safety considerations for patrons. And then I do echo you've got just generic finishes and nothing for us to actually react to. With that being said, I'm not sure if I want to approve or maybe consider continuance. So, thank you.
Yeah, are there other comments about the application? Commissioner Joe?
My first comment is to thank staff. I sent a dissertation of questions. It was a lot. I appreciate the effort. And I love the fact of how much the diagram that you created, Mr. DeSoto, was used all night. That makes me very proud. And I hope you are happy as well. I can't see you to look at you, but I just want to tell you thank you. Given the conversation that we've had previously, I'm shocked that I forgot to talk about the fuel canopy, but I agree with you. I think the fuel canopy is a really big deal. I also feel that this is a unique design for the city. It's the first, and we want to get it right. We are in a gateway corridor. We are entering into our community, and not having a complete, even an 80% understanding of what it's going to look like, how pedestrians are going to interact with the site, and what the future plans are for it, isn't something that I'm aligned with, especially for this particular area. The comments that were made about walkability and how there are residents who use that area and walk up and down it. They absolutely do. I live over there. I love driving down that and just seeing everyone walk and use the area. And it is such a wonderful, it possesses so much unique characteristics of what makes Lee Summit so great that I want to see that continue into this particular development. And what I'm seeing here, based upon what's been provided today here, I don't get that. I don't think there's enough of it for us to see. So character and charm, I also feel that we should be looking at this from a master planning perspective. We have seen some future land use maps that have come through. We've seen some understanding of what we're thinking particular areas may look like within corridors or activity centers. I think that's a missing piece of this as well, and I would love for some of that guidance to be able to be used and leveraged and reviewed while we're making some decisions. I also feel that there are some concerns around traffic. I may or may not have been reminded by the city of Lee Summit of how fast you can or cannot drive in that particular area. Not admitting anything. And there is just a natural, you start driving and you're enjoying where you're at and you just start going. And then you start working through the roundabouts and with the pedestrians and looking around, I do think that there's a significant concern around the traffic and I agree with that. As for the signs, I will confirm that they were there. I don't know if they were maybe maintained. I drive that twice a day, almost every day. I will also tell you that I was almost rear-ended because I was trying to slow down to look at the signs to see what it was saying, and I wasn't able to. So I think that's something that we can do on our side a little bit of maybe in particular areas, traffic-y areas, visual-wise, maybe we can take a different approach to make it a little bit more safer because there isn't a place that you can just pull over to go and look at it because you're driving. It's just really not conducive to be able to have that engagement. Roof, ballards. We haven't really talked about the different building elevations. I know that we were supposed to be discussing the preferred option, which is the slanted roof. Me personally, that's not something that I think fits the character or the charm of this particular area. And I would prefer the other elevation that was presented today, personally. Let's see. Pedestrian safety, traffic, walkability. Yeah, I think that we need to have an understanding of how all of these different potential future concept buildings, structures are going to interact with each other and then how it interacts overall within the corridor. So those are my few comments. Thank you so much. Thank you again to staff. That was a lot of work. I understand it. I appreciate it, but I learned so much and I think it helped everyone else on the commission as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Greneau. Sorry, I stumbled over your name a minute ago.
That's okay. It's okay.
Commissioner Moore, I don't want to leave you out down there. You're all the way over there. I see you.
Well, I see you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'll just do kudos also to the staff for all the work you guys did to put into this. There's a lot of information. Appreciate everybody's comments and just curious to hear the rest. No other comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Chudzinski.
Yes, thank you, sir. Much like my previous commissioners have spoken, I just feel that these elevations and what we're looking at tonight is not thoroughly thought out yet. And that's hard for me to make a decision on something that still could be up in the air. And then when we have items that are missing, canopies, the other canopies, that just even makes it more feel like it's a continuance for me. You know, I respect that we have public that are engaged residents that want to come here and talk. I hope to try to get you answers for a lot of your questions. Some of those, I'm sure, you know, as a civil engineer myself, I look at this, I understand what's being done from a design perspective. I design roads, so I understand some of your concerns in safety. The roundabouts and such are designed for trucks, and so that really is something that that will be okay. Stormwater issues, I hope so. I trust our staff. I think they're great. And so I know they will make sure that those issues aren't going to be your issues, because our code allows that stuff to maintain on site and to not impact others. Lighting, like I said, we checked ourselves. The engineers, they do lighting plans for the entire site. They tell us where the light will be and what foot candles at the boundaries. And from what I saw on their preliminary plan, 0 all across on the development side. So that's not even further past the road. So your fire pits at night should still be maintained. And I appreciate your engagement too. I'm not as concerned about, and I understand, I'm building a house at Colburn and Blackwell, so I will be using this interchange a lot. And so I understand that property owners have rights as well, and if they bring a development that fits the categories of the code, it's their right to build that. So right or wrong, I think we'll have that as a different time. But for me, I just don't think we have enough information yet to make a decision today. And so I would be very supportive of a continuance, just so that staff, which I know staff will do a great job to get this property owner to where they need to be, so we can have a better understanding of what really is going to be there for a long term. So that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hatcher, I see you down there.
Thank you. Thank you to the applicant for submitting this and wanting to build something and develop in the city, and thank you to the neighbors as well for your involvement. And I've had some questions as far as that notification procedure and everything as well, so we will we'll definitely look into that further as far as what had happened with notices and signage and everything. But I appreciate you sticking with this and making yourselves known. The specifics of this use at this site, I think from a more macro perspective, looking at that corridor, I do like the use generally. I will say more micro on this site with the specifics of the traffic and candidly, personal bias, I'm not the biggest fan of roundabouts, but specific to all of the roundabouts right there, I don't know that a gas station, which would be primarily for highway travelers with the large loop that you have to do to get there, necessarily makes the most sense at this time. And then combined with the fact of the canopy elevation and some design considerations with that gateway corridor aspect of it, I'm personally not inclined to support this at this time. So I would leave that up as far as how the procedures work. I would be inclined to recommend denial at this time. I don't know if that prevents them from later coming back with something along these lines at a later date. But that would be my personal thoughts on this.
And just to clarify, a denial would not prohibit them from coming back at a future date?
So procedurally, if the commission decides to make a recommendation and denial, the application as it would move before to city council, and then we have public hearing at city council here in a few weeks as well.
Thanks for that reminder.
And there'd be no real changes made. And then if it were denied at city council, there is a shot clock before they could resubmit on that. So.
I'm sorry, could you clarify, in contrast to a continuance, that it would not move on at this time?
So if the commission decides to continue, if we continue to a date certain, that would give the applicant opportunity to go back and make some changes to the plan, and then bring it back before you for those changes, and then you can reevaluate the additional information at that time and make a more informed decision.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
I would just say I would still personally be inclined to move for denial at this time, as I don't feel like this C-store or a gas station in that specific location of this site is appropriate regardless of if we got the canopy design back or not. However, if down the road they are not prevented from possibly moving forward with that, if they cleaned up some of these other things or we had some other considerations, I think that would be fine to reassess it at that point. But that's just my personal feeling on it.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Pesh?
I just wanted to thank city staff again. There's a lot to review with any one of these applications, and we got a lot of good answers on roadway design and stormwater, et cetera. So appreciate staff, appreciate the applicant going through this process and having interest and providing another business in Lee Summit. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Arth?
I just want to say thank you to all of you for showing up. It's almost 3 hours, and that takes a lot of patience. As far as my thoughts on this, I'm impressed with the applicants, just your willingness to cooperate as far as the colors, the way you view cleaning up the area, that it would make that area less prone to any activities that might be dangerous or just not preferred on that land. On the other side of that, I don't feel we have a lot of information as far as the canopy, the elevation of the main building as well. There's a lot of questions as the public hearing has gone on. We've gotten a lot of answers, but we also have a lot more questions. I really like Commissioner Grono's idea of maybe making this putting a master plan in this area, because it is our eastern gateway. And that corridor, 50 highway corridor, there's a lot of opportunity as things come along for us to improve that area, because a lot of it, we have businesses with special use permits, we clean up things, and so it's just a part of all of that, I feel. I feel that regardless if we continued, I don't really feel this meets with the character of that neighborhood. That neighborhood is I have lived in that area myself, and it's, there's just a lot of walking there. It's very residential, I guess I would say. And the other uses on Shenandoah fit in with that, but here is a use that's going to be more transient in nature. It's just not, I don't feel it's a great fit for that area. I feel traffic will be an issue. I know that when we buy our homes, if we're near undeveloped land, we have to assume it's going to get developed. I mean, we all know that. But I think that a better fit would be on the south side of 50 for this, because there are no homes there. So it would already be there, and then people would know what they're getting into. I'm not saying that, I mean, we all understand that we can't always choose what comes near us. I mean, I think I see you guys nodding, but just that this is already an existing, well-established neighborhood. And so regardless of a continuance or not, I don't think I can change my mind on the fit of the neighborhood. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of the comments that have been said here tonight, especially Commissioner Janiford, where you commented around it conceptually. I just don't think we have enough information to make a good decision on this, to move it forward to council. My fear, I've heard continuation, I've heard denial. My fear with denial is it'll go to council and then something will happen. I have problems with, I love articulation, but there's way too much of it. And so I feel like, giving the applicant some direction around, what, coming back with a firm concept of what they want to do there. I personally feel like it's owned by the lady, and it's zoned commercial. So therefore, we don't have a right necessarily to say you can or can't put this there because we know it's zoned commercial and this is an appropriate use for that zoning. And so unless we were going to rezone it, I also like the idea of a master concept plan as overlay. I mean, those are great ideas. I think we should be doing that for the whole city, honestly, but I know we've had divergent opinions around that, and I get it. Like, we don't want uniform design. We want different areas to have different characters, and I love that about it. So with that, I feel like we've given some good direction to the staff and the applicant. I'm supportive of a continuance. I'm a little hesitant about but I will be open to whatever the commission desires, so I'll look for a motion.
Chair, not a motion, but just one more comment.
Oh, okay.
If that's okay.
Thank you,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry. Any other comments before we go to motion, but yeah.
This is just, regardless of how the outcome comes, it's just a comment for the application. When these applications come in, it's always good to have the intent that what you're showing is what will be occupied. So in particular, the comment about the drive-through, the uncertainty, you're going to design for a drive-through, but it may not be. Just a lot of infrastructure that goes in with designing for a drive-through just to not have it be housed as one. So that just kind of ties into everything else on this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, does somebody want to make a motion? Go ahead.
That's good. Mr. Chairman, real quick for staff, what would be a reasonable continuation date? 1 month, 2 weeks, next?
So, I would like to maybe speak with the applicant to see what their turnaround is. I don't think realistically their next meeting is July 23rd, so I don't believe that we could turn around any significant changes in that time. And then we're looking at August 13th or 27th, or potentially September 10th or 24th as well.
Would we need to include the date, or can we say a continuation with the staff to work with?
If we go to a continuation to a date uncertain without specifying the date specifically, we will have to re-advertise and renotice. If we do it to a date certain, the application can continue to move forward without the re-advertising, reposting, and renotice.
Do you want to have a recess to confer with the applicant?
I would like that, yes.
Okay, I'll take a recess. Thank you.
Ever wondered how the city budget works? The total 2026 budget is over $380 million, which includes funding for daily operations, capital improvements, debt service, internal service, and enterprise operations. For example, the general fund is the foundation for the city's day-to-day services and investments like road maintenance, public safety, and fire protection. The general fund is supported by property taxes, sales taxes generated by local businesses, franchise taxes, and other sources like licenses, permits, and fees. For every dollar citizens pay in property tax, the city receives 18 cents. This means the city receives $845 a year in property taxes for a median single-family house. These taxes provide public safety, park maintenance, infrastructure, and the best services to keep Lee Summit going and improving. One of the community's top priorities is infrastructure investment, which is reflected in the Capital Improvement Plan. $113 million of the 2026 budget is invested into the Capital Improvement Plan. The 2026 capital improvement budget includes investments like the 291 and 50 Highway Interchange, 3rd Street, Ward and Purcell's intersection, and Pryor Road. The budget process includes guidance from the City Council, citizen input, and critical success factors from the city's Ignite strategic plan. To learn more about the city's budget, visit cityofls.net/budget.
When the person called on the phone, she said that there was a dinosaur walking down her road. Of course, we had to go out and check that out. We get out there, and it was a big African tortoise, probably 60 pounds, walking down the road. When they walk, they really stand up tall, so I could see why she thought it was a dinosaur. I'm Rodney Wagner. I'm the manager of Lee Summit Animal Control. So as you can see, we get all sorts of animals here. You got some guinea pigs off to the side. All the windows up here are animals that are adoptable right now. Every one of these dogs is ready to go and ready for adoption. And the same thing with our cats over here. A lot of cool cats in here now, so. So this is our 3-acre lot we have out back. This is where we do all the walking of dogs, exercise. We also have a side yard off to the side over there, so we can let them run loose. They can run together, and then we have what's called play groups. Kind of like having a bunch of kids. Here's our vet room. We have a vet that comes out twice a week. This is our Sally Port where we bring the animals into. This is one of our animal control trucks, and we can hold up to 6 animals. We have a lift on the other side to put big animals in. We actually have temperature gauges in here and in the truck to tell us how hot it is. Once it gets to a certain temperature, we bring all the animals back here immediately. So this actually has traps in it, but we do a lot of wildlife trapping. I mean, a lot. So bats, potbelly pigs, horses, cows, emus, a lot of reptiles. We had a citizen one time that had over 200 reptiles in his basement. Caimans and alligators in here that are 4 or 5 feet long. You can't keep those. And people do, and they're surprised when they can't keep them. I'm like, really? You're surprised you can't have an alligator in your house? Our main goal here is public safety and also the safety of the animals. And we have very dedicated people back there, and they definitely stay here for the love of the animals, which also includes getting them adopted out. We'll have about 4,000 impounded animals a year. Probably about close to 2,000 are dogs and cats. The cats and dogs, when they get impounded here, they go on a 5-day hold. And then after the 5 days, if the owner doesn't show up, then we can put them up for adoption. To adopt an animal here is actually really simple. You just come in, look for whatever animal you're looking for, find the right pick. You go to the adoption room up there and see if you get along with them. You spend as much time as you want to in there. From that point on, it's just a matter of making sure they're spay or neutered and all their vaccinations up to par and they're good to go. We have a very high adoption rate because we try everything in our power to get animals adopted out. We have Heart of America Humane Society that we do a lot of adoptions through. And then we also,
I guess, I don't know what it is.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for application number PL 2026078 Preliminary Development Plan, Blackwell Convenience Store, 2661 Southeast Blue Parkway, KDP Hospitality LLC applicant to continue to a date of August 27th.
Do I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Can I get a vote on the motion? Or there's any further discussion on the motion, I guess? Yeah, go ahead.
So I know that, based upon just some conversations we've had, being very specific about why we're continuing or what we're after through the continuance, is that something that we need to include within the motion?
Yeah, so you could continue, give that guidance right now during the comment portion of that motion to give them specific information. So the motion should clearly identify the information or revisions that you're looking for on that continuance, definitely. So you can do that now.
Okay, great. Oh, so I feel that it's incomplete. I think that we are looking for, and please, everyone jump in. But I feel that we need to understand the pedestrian connectivity. That's a big component of it. I think we need to have maybe not 2 building elevation options, but let's pick one, let's present one, let us work off of one. I also feel that the design principles, specifically for strip mall design principles, should be reviewed from the comp plan and incorporated into this as we are taking a look at this gateway area. Again, not from exact following, but just as a vision, as a reference point. Those are some of the things that I'm really after. And the fuel canopy. The fuel canopy is a big deal. We need to understand it. And then if we've already made some concessions tonight, like around the color schemes and maybe some materials, those specific things, incorporating those as well, so that we can really look at it and feel good about making our recommendation to City Council. That would be just my take on that, but please, everyone else chime in.
I concur. I would like to see specifics, this kind of stone with potentially a color, this type of material. A lot of times developments will bring in a board that shows what they're talking about, just to give us an idea. And that needs to, and whatever you choose for your building elevations on your building, carry that into the canopy. If that means the stone siding on the columns, color schemes that are muted, not bright pinks and blues, whatever, carry it through so that it all looks like a cohesive, real nice development. And if you need examples of what we're talking about, please ask city staff. They've got examples of things like what we talked about, the Dillons in the Olathe project that they had, other things. There's examples out there that you can get.
Is there anything new that we need to add?
I have one, Chair. Efficient parking. So that was kind of a little bit of a contention here with just over parking with anticipation of proposed, maybe not future building. And then the elevations should also extend out to the trash enclosure, the canopies for the fuel, but also just the drive-through concept. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything additional?
Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted a clarification for the continuance. How will that work with public comment and that procedure and just ability for us to hear that?
Yeah, so when they come back on the August 27th, we'll be able to reopen the public hearing and accept additional public comment at that time.
Thank you.
Just like to note, as I think I will be voting first, I will be voting no on the continuance, as I still would move to recommend denial personally. So just for clarity, it sounds like I'm in the minority on that, which is great. That's why we do this. I go first, so wanted to be clear on that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other comments before we go to vote? All right, can I call the vote?
Peyton Hatcher,
No.
Molly Pesch,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
No.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Jessica Gorno,
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford,
No.
Lee Moore.
Yes.
The motion passes. So it'll go to a continuance of date certain of August 27th. Thank you. All right, we look forward to the renewed, revised. Thank you. All right. Thank you for a really long meeting. Let's move to Roundtable. Anybody have something they want to bring up? Yeah.
I don't know exactly our procedures for bringing things up or how that gets anything done, but I do think, broadly speaking, looking at some of the neighborhood meeting procedures as a whole, I think we've had a couple here in a row in my very limited time that there's been confusion, lack of notification, various issues of some variety. So in some way looking at that, again, I don't know how we do that. I'd be happy to help with that if that's a possibility at all, but I think some variety of looking at how we do all of those things, in particular the timelines and ways of communication, as well as the radius of notification, all seem to have been issues in a couple different spots recently.
Yeah, staff can take a look at that and present something to you, kind of what our practices are and what neighborhood and surrounding practices are. I will say, just for kind of some of the newer members, the radius notification used to be 185 feet, because that was state law, so we've increased that to 300 feet. Our signs used to be 1 foot by 2 feet, now they're 2 feet by 3 feet, as well as we publish that in the newspaper as well. So we have increased in the recent years to do a better job of notifying that public, so.
Thank you.
Is there, as you guys are looking at that, I think there's specific, maybe geographical area or traffic configurations in adjacent to the developments that when we're trying to post public notices that maybe just an alternate approach to it needs to be had, because for me personally, it was very hard to see those signs, and there was nowhere for me to go to pull off to look at them. So I don't know if the font or the communication on it needs to be larger so you can visually see it easier, or if the sign needs to be bigger, or if it needs to be placed differently.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm not a traffic sign expert, but if you look at the size of like vehicular signs along the highway or streets, those are very, very large, right?
Yeah.
So to get one that's super readable, super legible, would be a very, very large sign. I'm talking 8 feet, 16 feet wide. Maybe not practical here, but we could definitely look into some alternative methods. Staff is always available to take phone calls or questions from the public. We do have resources online. If you see a yellow sign and can't stop or don't have the ability to stop and view that a little bit closer, give us a call. We're more than happy to walk you through that.
Right. And maybe it's a height thing. Like, because it was so low to the ground, maybe it's a
Potentially,
height issue, especially for that particular area. Just a thought, that maybe not every parcel warrants that type of approach, but maybe some do.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make, actually. I think those signs are, what, like 2 by 3 or something?
Yeah, those are 2 feet by 3.
I mean, I think there are other size signs that are like 4 by 5 that you could notice it better and not have to, yeah, you could read it and not have to pull over to see what it says. Because I've actually driven by signs and been like, I wonder what that notice, I mean, I know it's a notice, but I wonder what it's for.
Yeah.
So anyway, good comment. All right, thank you. Other roundtable comments? Hello.
Hi. Okay, so I listened to city council meeting yesterday. First, staff, I appreciate the thoroughness for the Dillons because it's very rare that I've come across in the last 6 years of a not in support of something. And I just want to express a little bit of disappointment that after having what I thought was a really good conversation, really supporting and basically enforcing our UDO and like what we're wanting to bring to the city, it was not really respected. So a little bit of disappointment, but also kudos to staff for kind of holding your guns and doing what I felt was right. So that's all.
The fuel got done.
Okay. Shannon, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to remind the commission, joint council with the city council and planning commission is scheduled for August 11th. So I did send out a calendar hold for you guys on that. More information will be available once it becomes available. I'll send that out to you as well. And then also want to congratulate Chair Trafton on his first meeting. So, made it through it.
I have my support network over here.
And that's all I have, so.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to bring up that, I love bylaws, and I had noticed that our bylaws hadn't been reviewed since 2020. And I was actually on the commission then, and it was Dana who signed them as, what position were you in at that point?
I think vice.
You were vice chair?
Yeah, the chair was Donnie Funk.
So in conversation, I've had a couple of conversations just around, there are some commissioners that didn't know we had bylaws. And so I thought maybe it was good that we review those. And one thought was that we would form a committee to review the bylaws and then the committee could recommend any updates or changes to the bylaws. So are there people that I'm looking to form a committee? Are there people interested in serving on that committee?
I will happily serve on the committee, Chair.
Oh, good. Would you happily chair the committee?
I will happily also chair the committee.
Awesome. Who wants to join Commissioner Jana Ford, now chair of the Bylaws Committee?
I would love to join her if she will have me.
Awesome.
Let's
Okay,
do
we've
it.
got another one. Do I have any other takers?
I would join. Maybe not love to join, but I would join.
We're going to make
Awesome.
you love it.
No, it'll be great.
Commissioner Hatcher,
I would
yes.
like to join.
All right.
We'll leave it there.
We've got 3. Anybody else?
Chair,
Donnie?
I'll, down here, I'll join as well.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Don't want to leave anybody out. I know Commissioner Arth is on the Charter Commission, so. Oh, you're on the Charter Commission too? Oh, lovely. I was on that. Okay, well, it sounds like we have a good committee of 4, and so I guess we'll expect you to convene at some point. How would you like to handle that, Shannon? I see
What I'll do
you
is I'll get
eager to
with
assist.
Yeah, I'll get with our legal representation here and formulate what the requirements are going to be for that, because we're at 4. 5 is a quorum, so 4 is a good number, but I do believe there may be some requirements in there of how that procedurally we move forward with that bylaw review, so.
Okay,
look
like if we
forward
have to
more
notice the
information
meeting or something, yeah, because it is, okay, all right. We'll look forward to that guidance, and you can just, I guess, communicate that to Commissioner Jana Ford and I, and keep us up to date on what's happening.
I will do that. I'll communicate with the entire commission.
Communicate to all of us. Okay, yes.
So we've talked a lot about activity centers, gateway corridors, and those character areas. How do those get developed, especially for this Blackwell area?
So if you were talking about a master plan, an area plan over that entire corridor, that is something that we would look at. That's a long-term process. It'd be more of an overlay district similar to the M150 corridor overlay. We can kind of talk about that process. That is probably a 6 to 12-month long process to get something like that. So there's a lot of work, a lot of outreach, a lot of public comment periods with that. So we can definitely start looking into that.
I think more specifically, I think it would be great to have that type of understanding and guidance, but more specifically, it would be great to have like a character area like the other ones that we have already developed within the comp plan. You're gonna make me pull out my computer and talk about it.
No, like character area, like.
The activity centers, the
Okay.
activity centers,
Okay,
they're
yeah.
called character
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, so this is not an designated activity center. And those areas were really kind of designated during the comp plan process. So we could look at potentially, I don't know that small area right there would kind of fall in that activity center, but more of that kind of overlay district. Yeah.
I think we're going to have, there's a lot of undeveloped land. I think this is going to come up, maybe potentially again. It'd just be great to have some guidance with it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you for that lively conversation. Any other comments in roundtable that we need to have? All right, with that, thank you for sticking with us, citizens of the Lee Summit. And with that, we're adjourned at 8:13.